Ok, boa sorte a todos. Estamos iniciando a transmissão.
Clever? Bom dia y bienvenidos.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the webinar European Green Capitals, sharing good practices and experiences with Brazil. We inform that this event has simultaneous translation in idiom English, Portuguese, English, and Spanish, Portuguese during all conference. To access our translation, just click on the globe on Zoom screen and choose an idiom. If you're using the cell phone, you have to click the button confirm to access the translation.
We welcome all of you to this webinar, European Green Capitals, sharing good practices and experiences with Brazil. We inform you that there is simultaneous translation channel available for the entire duration of this conference. To access the translation channel, please click on the globe or your Zoom menu and choose your language preference. If you're watching the conference from your mobile phone, after clicking on the preference language, please click confirm. Estamos en tiempo real no YouTube, no canal
We are live on YouTube, on European Union. Follow us on our YouTube channel and subscribe to this channel to access all other content.
We are live on YouTube on the European Delegation channel to Brazil with audio in Portuguese, and on the U Dialogue channels with audio in English. Follow us here on YouTube and subscribe to these channels to have access to quality content. Bem, dessa forma, vamos dar início ao nosso webinário, para o qual convidamos ao embaixador Ignacio Ibáñez, chefe da delegação da União Europeia no Brasil. Ignacio, the floor is yours.
Muito obrigado, Noelia.
Thank you very much, Noelia. Good morning, Brazil. Good morning, good afternoon, Europe. It is an honor to start this important webinar on this theme, sharing good practices and experiences with Brazil. I am very happy that we have today the presentations of representatives of 11 green capitals: Stockholm, Hamburg, Copenhague,
Nijmengen, Oslo, Lisboa, Lahti e Grenoble. Tenho certeza que será muito
I'm sure that it will be very inspiring to hear all your great practices and experiences. To me, this great representation shows the real spirit of Team Europe, us as European acting together to come together with our partners in the world. Thank you very much to all the participants to accept our invitation, and I thank our colleagues from the embassies to help with the contacts. I'm also very happy with the participation of our colleague Claudia Fusco from European Commission to explain what really is the Green Capital in Europe. Another important moment is the journalist Daniela Chichi from Valor Econômico as moderator. I couldn't think of a better specialist about sustainability in Brazil. Every year since 2010, European Commission has attributed the title of Green Capital to a city which is particularly good at being a good place to live and work. This initiative, more than 2/3 of Europeans live in cities and villages. The urban cities have the biggest challenges, environmental challenges that our cities face, but also have the commitment of innovation to resolve them. European Commission has given the price of green capital to compensate these efforts. Green capitals in Europe show everyone that there are green cities, that it is worth it doing the effort to be green, and how this is done. Today, we have 11 green capitals in Europe, 9 members of European Community and Norway, and many more are coming in the future. Europe green capitals have a great potential to act as models for small and big cities all over the world. And that is why we would like to share the best practices with our great partners in Brazil. These cities are leaders and inspiring to all other cities that look for more sustainable practices. And that is why we are bringing their experience to Brazil. Without further ado, I hope this webinar is an opportunity not only to know the great practices, but also to create important contacts between European and Brazilian cities so they can actually work together for a more sustainable and green world. Let's remember that the time to act is now, and we can do better if we act together, supporting each other in global challenges that we share. We are stronger together. Before inviting Claudia, allow me to promote our award of Green Diplomacy to Brazilian youth. Stay tuned to the next edition, 2021-22, that will be launched in October this year. We will continue to promote the concept of green cities with Finland as a special partner in this edition. We are looking for inspiring projects implemented by young people in Brazil, projects that make life difference, making the cities more sustainable and more resilient. Follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for more details. Thank you very much and enjoy this interesting webinar where we all will learn a lot. Thank you.
Agora a apresentação do Prêmio Capital Verde Europeia com a senhora Cláudia Fusco, chefe de Unidade de Conhecimento Ambiental, Ecoinovação e Pequenas e Médias Empresas da Direção-Geral de Ambiente na Comissão Europeia. Please, Claudia, the floor is yours.
Bom dia, good afternoon from Brussels. First of all, I'd like to thank Ambassador Ibanez and his team for the organization of this event and also for having given me this invitation and the possibility to explain what we do in Europe. And we try also to export or to inspire other parts of the world. So I'm very pleased to see the 11 European green capitals presented at this event, and I'm sure that they will explain more what they've been doing and how successful they've been over last years. As said already by the ambassador, globally we are facing enormous environmental and climate challenges. There is overconsumption, plastic waste and biodiversity loss, which are major threats to our cities and humanity at large. Cities, we know, they generate a lot of GDP, 85% globally. But at the same time, we do consume in our cities 75% of global resources. We emit 70% of global greenhouse gases and produce 50% of solid waste. So Europe is one of the most urbanized continents, and over 70% of Europeans live in urban areas. So we do believe that if we continue that path, by 2050, there will be over 66% of the world population living in cities, which means also problems, but also solutions. This is the reason why cities are key in fighting climate change and also in mitigating pollution. And the EU, the European Union, is a global front runner in sustainability and climate policies, also in the international, of course, context. And Europeans have also expressed their voice and also the use very recently, very coherently, and also chorally, I would say. More than 96% of our population has expressed in favor of working more and more to fight climate and mitigate climate change. So the European Green Deal, of course, has also taken up from this voice, and as is the new Commission's new growth strategy that aims to transform the EU into a fair and prosperous society with a modern, resource-efficient and competitive economy. This is clear. The message is that is a blueprint for climate neutral by Europe by 2050, with a sustainable future where economic growth can work together with taking into account resource use. So we do have in the EU a wide range of policy frameworks already in place, which are one of the most advanced in legislation in the environmental field and climate field. More recently, of course, the EU is still working on improving its frameworks, legal framework, with the adoption of the European climate law. We also, with the adoption of the Circular Economy Action Plan, which is an action plan where we have to really rethink the way we live, we produce, we consume, we extract our resources. Also, very recently, there is the biodiversity strategy, which was adopted in March last year, and more will come to, let's say, to make peace with nature. This is a little bit a message. We want to restore, and we want also to protect our ecosystem and biodiversity, because we need them. We need the biodiversity. On the 12th of May, there was another plan which was adopted by the Commission, which is the Zero Pollution Action Plan, which is a vision for 2050. For air, water, and soil pollution, once again to commit strongly towards a more integrated and less harmful to health economy, and also taking into account the use of chemicals. So regions are seen in all these strategies, which I mentioned before, as very key important actors. And also recently we launched a Green City Accord. Is that okay, because I hear a voice? Okay, so to step up local action on air, noise, waste, nature and biodiversity and water. So what is the added value? What are these awards about? There is somebody who should maybe, somebody should mute, because I hear a voice, huh? So with the European Green Capital Awards, the Commission is trying to connect the dots between what we do, the European policymaking and the EU policymaking and the local initiatives. We want to translate this into concrete actions. And that's why the awards, which are a well-established initiative since 2010, have this objective of inspiring and let's say, recognizing the inspiration of these cities. All applicants to the Green Capital Awards understand the urgency also of the problems that we mentioned before, and that's why the application is very intensive and is also rewarding, even if you don't win the title. So maybe the cities can come back on that, the winning cities and others. So cities with a population of more than 100,000 inhabitants can apply, and they are benchmarked against 12 criteria. Not perfect in all indicator areas, because it is impossible to find a city which is perfect in all of them. And they're assessed by a panel of external experts. Then there is a second stage, which is in front of a jury composed of high representative from different institutions and also civil society, who decide on the winner. And they look more at what is the role of the ambassadors of these cities, how they can inspire others, because cities are very diverse, and also in Europe and in the world, they're very diverse. There is a prize, money which is given to the winner, which is now being raised to 600,000 euros for the biggest cities. And since 2015, we have also launched a prize for the smaller cities, and then they will be entitled to get 200,000 per winner, because normally we do have 2 winners for the smaller cities. So it is not an easy process, and it's not an easy decision, because in fact cities all have their own specificities and challenges, but they do have also many things to share and in common. And we know, we will hear from Lahti, for example. I referred to the Troika, so the latest winner. So Lahti is the first European Green Capital winner for this year, from the Arctic region, which is a very important region, also very to be protected, very important to protect this area of the world. Grenoble will be the next 2022, and also Lisbon, it was in 2020, and they made it in spite of a serious financial crisis. So we will listen from them, we hear from them what they've been the challenges and what have been their successes. The added value of this prize is, I would say there are other 2 elements. One is that we listen very much to the governance. What is very important for the winners is to put in place a governance system involving all stakeholders in the city. So the business, academia, citizens, and especially, of course, the youth. As I said before, since Fridays for Future, the youth has made its voice heard more corally and consistently. And just to give you an example, but there are many more, Grenoble will make its citizens directly involved in deciding also on the local climate objective. And this is a great example also of local democracy that we are happy to inspire other regions of the world. So in the end, the key success elements for the cities are governance, long-term vision, strategy, target, and measures. And then, even if you're not a winning city, but you are shortlisted, you start to be part of this family of the European Green Capital Network, which is not only a place to exchange best practices, challenges, and potential solutions, but also to encourage other European cities on their path towards a more sustainable future by providing support and guidance. For example, also in the past, in 2018, a group of cities, of European green capitals, participating in the United Nations Climate Change Conference, the COP24 in Poland, in Katowice, and they participated in a call for action to underline the power of cities in combating climate change. So you see also the power of this network of bringing together people, like-minded people, I would say leaders of these cities, to fight and to achieve a better future. So I think we believe that with the network, the European Commission has really tried to bring together, has managed to bring together European cities and support them as much as we could. I must say that we have also attracted some interest, and the event of today show it, and I'm very pleased with that. Before the COVID, we had a delegation of US cities under the Trump administration, which came to Europe to visit some of the cities and to learn from them. And I'm also very much happy to tell you that even some African cities in the past, they also showed some interest to try to replicate and to apply this model to their reality as well. So today's event is a perfect example that shows the international interest, and then I hope this will continue. I would like to conclude. I would like to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to present this recognition, this award, this European Green Capital Award. And today's program is really very, very rich, and I'm really also, again, pleased to listen again to the cities, to the winning cities, and Europe is very proud of its achievement through these cities. So I'm also very grateful that Brazil is looking into this possibility, and I really feel and I really push you to get inspiration from the cities and to act, to continue to act, because I'm sure you will not regret it. Thank you very much.
Agradecemos as palavras da Cláudia Fusco e convidamos-lhes agora
Thank you,
a
Claudia
jornalista.
Fusco, and we invite now the journalist and great friend, Daniela Querti, a special reporter from Economic Value, our moderator in the webinar. Daniela, please, you have the word. Good morning, Noelia. Good morning, Ambassador. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the words. I am very happy and honored to be here. I am sure this is a very inspiring event, considering that more than 85% of Brazilians live in cities. So now we will hear this webinar, and it will be very interesting. Let's begin with European capital cities and know this new concept. At the moment, more than 2/3 of the Europeans live in cities and villages, and the urban cities have the biggest challenges, environmental challenges that our society faces. However, they also reunite the commitment to solve them. The award for is an initiative to promote and recompensate these efforts. From the creation of the award, 13 cities have. Stockholm in 2010 was the first one to be a green capital. Before that, we decided to promote this webinar to share with us the good practices and experiences with all of us in Brazil. Let's hear and present the success cases of some green capitals: Lahti, Lisbon, Copenhagen, Vitoria-Gasteiz. So let's go. It's important to say, I like to ask the speakers to try and speak slowly so that our simultaneous translation can follow up. And since we are live and online with guests from different countries, some technical problems could happen. We are all living a digital period of challenges and adaptations. I am sure everyone will understand if we have any problems. I also suggest that you follow European Commission and you can look for on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Like this, you can. We have 2 panels. They are complementary. The first module of presentations is experiences and good practices of 6 green capitals. Lahti in Finland, which is the green capital of 2021. Lisbon, Copenhagen, Denmark, green capital in 2014. Nijmegen, green capital in 2018. And Essen in Germany, green capital in 2017. And the second part of the panel has another 5 capitals. Vitoria-Gasteiz in Spain, green capital in 2012. Hamburg, green capital 2011. Stockholm, green capital 2010. Oslo, green capital 2019. And Grenoble, green capital 2022. So it is important that after each panel, we will have a moment for questions of the audience. If you want, you could send the questions. If we have time, we will do it here. If not, we'll answer them later. I'd like to wish everyone a great morning and enjoy the activities that start now.
Então, vamos a esse primeiro painel.
So we will go to the first panel with the experience of these 6 cities. The first city we will hear is Lahti in Finland, European Green Capital 2021, and Lisbon, Ljubljana, Copenhagen. Please remember to ask questions, and the ones that we can't answer live will be answered by email. You can see that on YouTube. Now we invite the Executive Director of Municipal chamber, Mila Bruno, about how Lahti became the green capital of Europe.
Lahti fica a 5 quilômetros a
Lahti
noroeste de Helsinki, a capital da Finlândia, na Bahia, sul do lago Visegrad. Não sei se estou falando certo. Depois da Segunda Guerra Mundial,
After Second World War, Lahti had a fast industrialization and populational growth. This had great environmental impacts. The city had these challenges, and this polluted the lake and stopped the dependency of automobiles. The city worked together to improve the conditions of the lake. It was a consource of investment to develop the system of transportation in the center of the city. Underground parking. Like that, Lahti presented a good, especially when it comes to nature and biodiversity, noise and water, and it had the maximum air quality. With the word, Miss Mila.
Hello, can you hear me, everybody?
Yes. Yes, perfect.
Well, good afternoon from the beautiful city of Lahti, the European Green Capital of 2021. I'm not able to share the screen, so if the technical staff would share my slides or either give me the ability to share the screen myself so I could start my presentation.
Just wait a minute, please, Mr. Miller. Let's see. Só um minuto, vamos esperar aqui a apresentação.
Okay, you can share.
Now you can see it probably well.
Yes.
Sorry, this is the one I'm giving next week. There is so many.
Vamos esperar aqui um minuto.
Let's wait 1 minute for the presentation.
Yes.
This is not, it's showing the different. I'm very sorry, but for some reason it's not sharing the right, even if I have it open. Well,
Do you want to try maybe without the presentation?
I think we can. Here we go.
Agora sim, vamos lá.
Let's go.
So as Claudia said in the beginning, Lahti is the first sort of Arctic European green capital. So 2 words about the city of Lahti. A city of 120,000 inhabitants, so quite a small European-sized city. The urban region population is of 200,000 people, but we have a very central logistic situation, and we're only 1 hour away from the capital, Helsinki. We're a very modern industrial city, and we also are the youngest university town here in Lahti. We have had the Lahti Lappeenranta University of Technology here since 2019, which is also very important when it comes to the solutions of the future and innovative cooperation between universities and local companies and also city officials. But a typical European mid-sized city. Majority of Europeans live in cities exactly like Lahti. They don't live in the sort of the capitals of the nations that have millions of people, but actually the majority of Europeans live in just the same sort of cities as Lahti is. So far, Lahti is now the smallest and also the most northern European green capital. I said in the beginning, there has been 11 green capitals before Lahti. You can see them on the screen at the moment. You can see, and we're going to be hearing from our colleagues from different cities today as well. And Grenoble from France is going to take over after us. But I promised to tell you a little bit about how Lahti became the European Green Capital. And it all started, as said in the introduction, already from the 70s, when the industrialization of the city had its toll in Lahti. So our Vesijärvi lake that now you can see in this picture was the most polluted lake in Finland in the 70s. I was born in 72 here in Lahti, right next to this lake, but I was forbidden to go and swim there or play there, or we couldn't go and fish or do anything that a normal lake would provide us. So because of the industrialization of our city, this happened so that it was done in the expenses of our nature. So the city awakened for this pollution of our lake in the 70s, and that's when we started to do the restoration program for our lake. And those were the first steps that Lahti as a city took towards being the European Green Capital. Today, we have cut our CO2 emissions by 70%, and that is due to the fact that our district heating production is now totally emission-free. In 2019, we have stopped using coal altogether, and today all of our district heating production is done emission-free. Last year was the first year to do so. Also, the utilization of municipal waste has been improving already from the 90s. So already in the beginning of the 1990s, Lahti, as the first city in Finland, started to think how we're going to do our waste separation in where we are producing the waste, which basically means in people's homes. So already in the 90s, we started to separate our waste at our homes. Today, me and my family, we are separating our waste to about 10 to 13 different bins, and we have a system where we can drop it off. And today, only 1% of the waste created in the area goes to the landfill, and 99% of our waste is utilized again, whether it's for energy utilization or recycling, but still only 1% goes to the landfill. But not any city is ready, not even Lahti. Even if we're the green capital at the moment, there is still many issues that we need to solve. Most of the biggest issue that we have is the share of sustainable urban mobility plan that we have done for the next upcoming 10 years. Our goal by 2030 is to be so that more than half of our mobility is done sustainably, which means that we are starting the biggest electric bus fleet in July this year. We are making sure that private cars also have a chance to use electricity as a power for them, when this wasn't really happening a few years ago. So this electrification of our mobility, also the other sort of biogas, biodiesel options are taken into consideration when the city is making its decision about mobility. But at the same time, we need to make sure that the bike paths are available for citizens throughout the year, and also that the public transportation is serving our citizens so that you don't necessarily need your own car in the future as much as you do at the moment. Another thing that we really need to focus on in the future is our construction. We need to make sure that when we're building new buildings or tearing down old buildings, how we reuse the materials and how do we make sure that during the building processes we're doing carbon neutral buildings, plus what is the use of the buildings in the future that they can stay carbon neutral. But that is the way to be carbon neutral by 2025. EU has set goals to be carbon neutral by 2050, and Finland has set a goal to be carbon neutral by 2035. Just like Copenhagen, who is also a forerunner in this, Lahti wants to be carbon neutral by 2025, and that will happen by concentrating especially on our traffic and mobility in the future. Since we have stopped using coal already, today, like I said in the beginning, our emissions have already been cut 70% compared to the 90s. This is production based, and our plan is to cut our CO2 emissions by 80% by 2025, and of course compensating the remaining 20%, which means that we need to increase the net carbon sinks and also the wooden construction and carbon neutral construction models in the future. Right now we are in the middle of sort of implementing the program and the execution of our Green Capital Award year. And we have set 4 different themes for our year, which is carbon neutral life, citizen participation, circular economy, and nature and water. And these are sort of the overall main themes that is included in everything that we do this year. It is very important to understand that we here in Lahti think that winning the Green Capital title is not the goal or the end or the it means that we are done. No, this is only the beginning. This is a year that we are using this year as a leverage to do even more in the future. How do we get companies involved? How do we get NGOs involved? How do we get citizens involved? How do we make sure that everybody understands the necessity of these actions and how they actually improve our life? Our mission is not to make people's lives worse by doing sustainable city planning or implementing action plans how to fight climate change. Our plan that while we're doing that, our lives are actually getting better. Our everyday life is getting better, and Lahti is a happier place to live. We have made 3 objectives for the year. It's the local level, national level, and the international level. This is a chance for us to use this year when all eyes are on us to make sure that we get more recognition in the international field, like today, but also how we make us more notable in the national government level, and also then in the local level, how we make sure that our residents also feel like they can be part of it. So that is the key to this whole program of the year. That is it's a very big collaboration between different kinds of stakeholders. We also have private companies who are cooperating with us. It's very important that the private sector is in line with this, and private sector is also seeing this as an opportunity to get more recognition in the future. It's also very important that we are steering our funding towards the residents and different organizations. And so far, we have already given from our 6.5 million budget for the year, 1 million to the different projects that we have funded, and there's still about 500,000 more that we're giving out for the rest of the year. And last, of course, COVID has put a really big spin on our year, and we have learned how to do things virtually, just like we're doing today. And that's something that I want to just point out in the end, that it's very easy to join our webinars. It's very easy to join our virtual events. And that in the you can find everything that we have done so far can be found from our YouTube channel. And I'm also inviting you to join us. We have invited all the previous green capitals to join us in this European Dialogue for Sustainable Cities. Next week, we're going to be talking with Nantes, and one of the issues that we're going to talk with them is waste management. So all of this can be, of course, something that you can reach from your home. Last slide to share is that we have a very comprehensive international calendar for the end of the year, which all can be found from our website. And I'm hoping that you could find something that you would want to join us. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mila. And it was really interesting to see. Muito obrigada, Mila. Desculpa, falo em português. E muito interessante.
Thank you very much, Mila. It's very interesting to hear the experience of Lahti and how you practically removed to zero waste. It's very impressive. Let's see if we have any questions later. Thank you. And now let's go to our next speaker. Thank you very much, Mila. Is there a video, Mila?
If there is time, there is a video. It's 2 minutes.
Do we have time? Yes, we have time. Please, Mila, let's see the video.
Desculpem, muito bonito.
My apologies. Very beautiful to see. Very different from what we have here. Thank you, Mila. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we invite Mr. Duarte Araújo to the presentation, Are Citizens Aligned with Green Transformation in Their Cities? 10 Years of Green Policies in Lisbon. Lisbon is between the most antique cities in Europe. It's the biggest city in Portugal and has an area with 2.8 million inhabitants and 18 municipies. Lisbon is surrounded by green with a forest inside the city. It's also known as City of Seven Hills. The streets are hardly penetrable in the historical center. In the past,
em oposição ao transporte sustentável, eficiência energética e espaços onde a biodiversidade poderia prosperar. Nos últimos
in
anos,
the last years, Lisbon opted to evolve and continues evolving. The city chooses now the green and sustainable planning, securing the symbiotic relationship with nature, looking to promote more quality of life to the citizens. Now we will hear Mr. Duarte. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be in this meeting. We in Lisbon are very proud to be Green Capital in 2020. It was more than a decade of green policies in the city that attempted to change the paradigm of what was the planning of a city, very car-driven, and this green capital, although it was received as what was given, it was also a challenge. So that we would not stop the policies for the last 10 years. It was also an incentive that we could inspire other cities that are not considered green, that are located in zones in Europe with less tradition, a lot of use of cars, and a lot of pollution. And we could show how we've done it and that it's possible to do a fast transformation. We had the economical crisis in the end of the first decade of the century. The municipal chamber was struggling, but we could do this transformation living with this environment. So we used the green policies as a way to save money and as economical sustainability to force the economy in the city to a different level. To us, it wasn't more investment, it was more of a return from the policies. I'd like to start showing a video of how we became Green Capital. I think it's a good way to show. I have to share my screen.
Compartilhar som.
É ótimo essa música.
Conseguem ver este vídeo?
Can you see the video?
No, it's not you yet. You are me still. But maybe you can hear my thoughts. Are you scared? Of course you are. You don't know, what is this? What's earth, water, wind? Maybe you can see it through my dreams. You must have seen the others. So different. The colors, shapes, sizes, and the equals. Their eyes, the way they look to you and to things. We are raising a city here. Connected with people, trees, animals, technology, sky, and earth. Sun, you have your own lungs now. Breathe for the first time. It's quiet, good for you to hear and to be heard. You will walk and explore and expand my joy. You will play, travel, eat, learn, work, share, create, recycle, innovate. You will be happy here. And then one day, your own seeds will too grow with love. We no longer separate city from nature. You can go now, anywhere. You are part of everything. You are the city, my son. We called you Lisboa.
Muito bem,
All right.
eu vou fazer uma
I will
muito rápida porque já não tenho
show a very fast presentation. We don't have a lot of time.
fazer uma apresentação da tela.
Share my screen.
Peço desculpa.
My apologies.
Partilhar a minha tela.
Imagine, isso acontece sempre, né?
That happens.
Eu quero
No
partilhar
problem.
o PowerPoint que tenho aberto, não estou a conseguir.
Quer tentar mais um pouco?
O PowerPoint está aberto e ele não está a fazer o compartilhamento de tela.
The presentation is open, but I can't share. Would you prefer to just speak and follow the presentation?
Pois, não percebo. Não percebo.
Agora.
Conseguem ver? O PowerPoint.
Can you see?
Sim?
Yes.
Conseguimos.
Pronto, peço desculpa. Tenho
My apologies. I don't have a lot of time, so I will try.
No fundo, o que eu queria
Okay.
transmitir
What I would like to show is that Green Capital was a success that had a very early start when we start to align our policies with climate objectives. The signatures of these accords that could see propaganda were considered by us real ambitions.
Uma estratégia climática,
Climate strategy,
a candidatura à Capital Verde, conjunto de instrumentos territoriais, mudámos o nosso master plan,
we
fizemos
changed our master plan, created
plano de biodiversidade para os serviços urbanos. Recebemos a conferência
we received the conference of climate alterations. We will host this year the planning of cities with bicycles, and in the end, Green Capital aligns with this policy, where we try to do extraordinary measures with emissions, and we have a great looking for renewable energies, central solar in the city, companies that are trying to do the same. So we are giving great steps. We have good numbers. These are before the pandemic. We have recycling on 33%. What puts us in a level, a very advanced level in European cities, only 1% going to disposal. A city that
quase 140 quilómetros de bicicleta, vamos chegar aos 200 durante o mandato. Estamos a trabalhar para que Lisboa,
that Lisbon, that didn't have any bicycles 10 years ago, is now a city with routes and pictures that show a main avenue where traffic was renewed with more bicycles and more grain. Now we attempted several times, and always because it is worth it. We created teams to answer all of these indicative numbers, where we were and where we wanted to go, where we wanted to orient. So we used this argument of we couldn't do it, but we got a team. And what we did, what we saw, is with each one of the submissions, we improved in the indicatives. So we did our own evaluation. Even if we didn't win, it was something that was in our plan and our
muitíssimo bem
objectives.
classificados. Foi
We
nesta
were
estratégia
very well classified in this green strategy, made a radical change in the city
numa cidade consolidada em pouco mais de 14 anos.
in
Essa
less than 14 years.
Este é o último projeto que foi
This is the last project that was open around 10 days ago. It is the transformation that was presented as a flagship project, which is replacing this that is history. This asphalt was created, this urban park where all water is treated in place. This is a reality in this project. We had a brutal improvement in green structure. We are achieving 300 hectares. Pandemic obviously changed a lot of our planning, and this is why we focused on following the goals of green structure. So this is an image of the first day as capital city. There wasn't a pandemic. We had the place focused for conferences. Some happened online, some were canceled or postponed. We'll continue this year trying to open things that were postponed, and that's why it hasn't ended as programming, but the things
em que nós construímos conjunto de infraestruturas para a circulação de bicicletas e demos apoio financeiro à aquisição
de financial support to acquire bicycles by the citizens and installing the infrastructure of parking. We had an investment of €3 million. People were confronted with the change in their lifestyle because of the pandemic, and that exploded the use of bicycles. We removed the cars from public spaces, and they, with a very short investment of, we opened bicycle paths. painted some. We could enjoy the year of 2020, the pandemic, and Green Capital to transform positively. People did programs from home to make their balconies more green, their streets more green. We opened gardens that were close to the public because people needed that, people requested that. We continue. We also have European programs that use climate functions as nature in the city with adaptation of climate. And we have people involved in plantation, in planting trees. There's more than 4,000 people planting over 20,000 trees. This is part of the program. Created a pact with companies that still they came here with a commitment. We have this green book that keeps us very proud. And this project that involves Brazil, it involves some Brazilian institutions. It's a project that we have in partnership with many European cities. It connects European Union and Latin American cities, brings citizens to co-design.
As outras cidades da América Latina, Buenos Aires, São Paulo, Bogotá, Santiago do Chile também têm estes projetos.
We also have this project, and we are trying to improve the areas of Lisbon through participation of people. Thank you very much. My apologies for some situations that happened that delayed my presentation, but I hope it was useful. Yes, it was beautiful, Mr. Duarte. I miss Lisbon. It's a very beautiful city. It's many green. There are a lot of sheep. You know that Brazilians love Lisbon, so very beautiful. If there's time, I would like to know about the adaptation plan of the city. We are very behind on that, on any other aspect, if we have time for questions later. So we thank your participation, and now we invite Ms. Ljubljana is the political center, administrative and cultural of Slovenia, and it has over 280,000 inhabitants. 2016 Green City
que foi alcançada em áreas como transporte local e acessibilidade no centro da cidade. De uma cidade que antes era
city before dominated by transport of automobiles, the focus is now on public transportation and in nets of pedestrians and cyclists. The most significant measure was moving the traffic in its main road.
Caracterizam a cidade na reabilitação e transformação de espaços.
3/4 of all territory of Ljubljana are green lands. All together, Ljubljana implemented a number of ecological measures in the last decade, including 2,000 trees planted, construction of 5 new parks, and revitalizing the Sava River. Meet the city with a green heart. Ms. Tiasa, you have the word.
Hello. Thank you, Daniela, for this really kind introduction. You're a great ambassador of our city. So, you know, you said so much things I wanted to say, so thank you for that. I will try to share my presentation here. So thank you again for the invitation. Thank you for this really great initiative to gather all the European or some of European capitals that can share their and our practices and learn from each other. I think it's the crucial thing. Just a short, sorry. It's working, okay. Like Daniela said, we are a rather small European capital. We are positioned centrally in Europe. We are known as being green, safe, clean, and friendly capital, and we're really proud of that. A lot of times we say that we live together and respect the differences, and it's not only something that we say, but we prove it every day. And back in 2014, in June, we were awarded with this great title that meant a lot for Ljubljana, for changing the pace of development, and that was to become European Green Capital 2016. And as the title of my short presentation is the biggest changes in the shortest period of time, that was the idea and the conclusion of the jury that chose us to be European Green Capital, because they say that we have implemented the biggest changes in the shortest period of time, and those were the changes in the right direction, in the sustainable direction. And another thing that they said was that we successfully balanced two things. So not only that we change really fast things that are not sustainable, that are not green, but at the same time, we know how to preserve many green advantages that we have as the city, from really rich biodiversity to high quality potable water, for green areas that we have. So, you know, we tried to balance with fast changes and preserving and taking care of the things that are good, that are sustainable, and we already have. What I have learned, you know, from the past, because I'm here now for almost 15 years, I have learned that, of course, it's very important to have a vision, to know where you are going, but this vision is not enough, because you have to have a courage to implement it, especially for a big project, especially for a project that really change everything. And one of our crucial projects, you mentioned it before, Daniela, was closing the city center for motorized traffic. So we did not close one street, we closed around 11 hectares of surfaces in city center for motorized traffic, private, and also for public one. So completely, and we opened it for pedestrians and cyclists. So this was this really big change that happened back in 2007, and I think it was one of the most difficult decisions that our mayor had to take, and to try something different to make city more sustainable. So we did not just change, you know, the traffic regime, but we completely refurbished the city center. That means that we have renovated everything from sewage system to water supply system to electricity, lighting, district heating system. We lowered the pavement and made the whole city center accessible to everyone. So to mothers with strollers, to people with disabilities, to elderly. So we opened the city center really to everyone. And as you can see on this picture below, today, you know, we have a lot of open air events, when before we had cars. We have sport events, cultural events, national commemorations, and so on. We completely refurbished the riverbanks of our central river Ljubljanica. We even built additional bridges because we wanted to shorten the distances for the people, and we created additional public space. And it means that with that, you know, with changing the public space, we helped change the habits of the people that now spend their time outside, they socialize, they, you know, spend time with their families. Before they were more inside, now they are really have a lot of possibility to be in this beautiful green area outside. And I always say, And I have learned that during this way, that when you take something away from the people, and we did that, you know, we took away the possibility that they can reach their, I don't know, bedrooms or favorite restaurants or favorite shops with their cars, you know, you have to give them an alternative. And we did that, for example, with a really simple solution with electric cars, with chauffeurs that people can use free of charge. So the citizens or tourists, and they're extremely popular. You know, those chauffeurs are already are also our city guides, are really great ambassadors. They know a lot about the city, so people know them very well. And we had more than 1.5 million journeys up to now with those cars. We have 6 cars going around the city. And another vehicle that is allowed in the city center is this electric tourist train. So these are 2 exceptions that we allow in the city center and are really very popular. Here's just one example of Slovenska Street. So it was one of the main traffic backbone in the city, really very occupied by a lot of motorized vehicles, around 60,000 daily. And we have changed the traffic regime. We have refurbished it completely. We have created shared space here for cyclists, for pedestrians, and for public transport. With that change, we have reduced black carbon emissions by 70%. And we have shortened the time for buses on this route by 3 to 5 minutes. So it was maybe a small step, but you know, a big change for the whole heartbeat as our city is now working in the city center. We have successfully implemented models of sharing economy, especially bike share system. I know that bike share system is something that a lot of cities have. The thing or the reason why I'm highlighting this today is because in Ljubljana is really popular. So we have more than 20% of our citizens who are active users of this system. That means that they are regular users. And we had now our 10th anniversary and more than 8 million journeys with the bike sharing system, and we are still expanding it. And together with the private partner, we have also implemented a car sharing system. Specialty about this is that all the cars are 100% electric. So it means no emission and less noise and less private cars in the city. Another really important reason that I want to highlight that I believe it was crucial for us, you know, getting the title of European Green Capital were our green surfaces. So you can see here, it's just a picture of our illegal garden allotments that were here for decades. And we decided, you know, to move them and to create a big park. It's one of our main city parks now. And something about green surfaces and Ljubljana, as you said, you know, almost 3/4 of all the city surfaces are green areas in Ljubljana. We are really proud that around 550 square meters of public green areas we have per capita. And we don't stop at that. In the last 15 years, we have refurbished additional 100 hectares from brownfield, as you could see now, from these illegal garden allotments or illegal waste dumps or parking spaces into new recreational areas. We have planted more than 45,000 trees in that time. We have created, you know, new children playgrounds and new possibilities to stay outside. That is just a short example, another one of how it was before in another part of our city near the River Sava, and how it is today. So we have created new spaces for children, horse riding trails, picnic spaces, animal farms, and so on. So it's a completely different story as it was like 15 years ago. Talking about waste management system, we're really proud that we have modern and sustainable waste system. For example, we have removed close to 10,000 regular bins, and we have underground waste collectors. We are also European capital with the highest share of separating waste at households. We have 68% now, and we are heading up to 80 until 2030 is our goal, and I believe we can manage to reach it. And what I wanted to emphasize really special connected to this European Green Capital project, that it seems like a long time ago, but it was just 5 years ago. So we tried to include everyone in this whole year's project that we have. Here you can see pictures of some of our ambassadors. Why? Because I think there are two main target audiences that you have to bear in mind. First of all, your colleagues, they are the first one, because if you want to communicate it with citizens, if you want to communicate it with outside audience, it is very, very important, first of all, that your colleagues get the vision, that they understand what the idea is, and that they believe in what they are doing. And then, of course, the big target audience are our citizens. And I think we were really successful in building the awareness, informing them what's going on, including them in the whole year's project, in the whole activities that we've done. And now the result is that we have really active citizens, people that are aware of their environment, that take care more of their environment, but at the same time, they are more demanding. So they are asking questions. We have a lot of proposals. They're even more critical, but I think it's a good way. So if we do this hand in hand, we can do better things. And there is one really important advantage that since this year, 2016, it's so much easier for us to implement green solutions, make those green changes and expect people to change their habits. If before it was more difficult, today those things are really easier. Just to conclude, I think two main things, because here we are from different cities, from different European green capitals. I think it's crucial that we share our knowledge, that we share the information and experience. We in Ljubljana do that really actively because we are open city. We are the first and for now the only European green capital in the whole central and southeastern part of Europe. So we really actively motivate other capitals, other cities from this part of Europe to participate, to apply for this title. And I know that they are applying, so we're really happy about that. And when we share our knowledge, we at the same time learn from other cities, which is really good. And this one thing that I learned is that when we are sharing, you can never share or copy and paste, 100%. I think we all have to look up to each other, learn, see what others are doing, but then at the end you have to adapt those projects and those activities to your own reality, to the habits of your own people, to the needs, of your citizens, to advantages that your city already has and potentials and also challenges. And that is one great challenge for us too, to stay focused on the vision that we are having and try to share and learn. So just to conclude, warmly invited to Ljubljana. I'm sure that we will exceed your expectations and then we will return again. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Tássia. Que cidade bonita.
Thank you very much, Tássia. What a beautiful city. Great experiences. There's someone who wrote here on chat, Fernanda. She says that she lives in Ljubljana. It's a fairy tale city. And there is an electrical train that people can get in the center of the city. Anyone can.
Thank you.
And it's very beautiful to stay there during this moderation, because it's an experience of traveling. As Brazilians, we can't travel because of the pandemic at the moment. So it has been very interesting, very good. Thank you very much, Tássia. Let's see if we have any time to do the questions. There are a few questions, but we are a little delayed. So I ask if you can stay for 10 minutes in the end, or so we can continue with the questions. We invite now the program director, Monica Magnussen, with the speech, Copenhagen, a city for cyclists. It's the Green City of 2014. It has an area of 74.4 square kilometers, is the capital of Denmark, and the most Copenhagen has put the public-private partnerships in the center of its approach to eco-innovation and sustainable jobs. The city works with companies, universities, and organizations and forums to implement the green. The jury has shown Copenhagen as a good model in terms of planning and urban design. Everyone there rides a bike. The goal is to have 50% of people riding bikes to work or education centers. The city defined clearly its goal to be the best city in the world for cyclists. Let's ride a bike in Copenhagen. It's a beautiful city. So now, Monica, you have the word. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and thank you very much to Ljubljana as well. When I started doing these presentations, Copenhagen was one of the front runners in cycling, but also quite alone together with some of the Dutch cities. And now it's so great to see more and more cities going on the bicycle as well. So I'm going to share my screen like everyone else and talk to you for 10 minutes just about cycling and about Copenhagen being the city for cyclists. And Daniela, will you nod when you see my presentation? Is it on?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so here we are. So just to let you know what's happening here in Copenhagen, we are a municipality of roughly 600,000 and a region a little less than 2 million. And the total area is 74 square kilometers and with an approximate inhabitation of 7,500 per square kilometer. We have the challenge that most cities are seeing is that we're growing quite fast, 1,000 new inhabitants each month. However, that has slowed down during the pandemic. We'll see if it continues afterwards or not. We're also a very young city. The average age in Copenhagen is only 36. And this is due to the fact that more people are deciding to stay here even after they have children. Before people could move to the suburbs and have their 1.7 children and a car and a house and a dog, but now people are finding that urban life and family life can be quite compatible. And this is, of course, due to some of the changes and some of the views we have in the city of making it attractive for families to live here. And what you see in the background here is actually just next to my office. It's down by the harbor front. And today is an extremely hot, unusual day in Copenhagen. So right now, everybody's swimming down there. So when I'm finished today, I will go for a quick dip as well. So we have this vision in Copenhagen called Co-Create Copenhagen, because it's very important that we keep in mind that everything we do with people and for people. So this is the test we do on everything is, does it make a change for people? Does it make an impact for people? And have we remembered to ask the people who will be involved with our planning if it's the right decision for them? This vision has 3 aims: to be a livable city, a responsible city, and a city with an edge. And the bicycle part is part of the livable city. You could also call it, why is it not part of the responsible city? Because it's very sustainable to cycle. And it is as well, it's part of our mobility plan in the climate planning. But it's because a livable city is for a city for people. And when you cycle, you interact with the city. You see each other in the eyes. You are part of the urban life. And therefore, we think that cycling and moving around like that is a way for a livable city. So just some of the goals, Daniela mentioned them as well, but we want to be the world's best city for cyclists, and we want to be the world's first carbon neutral capital by 2025. I heard Lahti having the same aim for 2025, so we hope to get there together with them. So, and you also said that we want 50% of all trips to work and study to be by bike, and we want to reduce the trips by car. Just to give you a quick history, because everybody thinks, why is it that that people are cycling in Copenhagen? Is there something special in the water? What's the deal here? And we did get the bicycle tracks quite early on, and in the 1950s, the bike was the most common mean of transportation. However, many other European cities had this, and then with the increase in car mobility in the 1960s, suddenly all the squares that used to be for people were suddenly being turned into parking lots. I think the difference in Copenhagen is that in the 70s and 80s, there was a really bottom-up movement where Copenhageners demanded for more bicycle infrastructure and for a lesser role for the car. As you can see in this picture, a good old demonstration at the City Hall Square. However, it's only been in the past 15 years that we have invested quite heavily in bicycle infrastructure. So in a sense, we just want to return to how bicycles used to be in the city. So this table shows you one of the busiest cycling corridors in the world. So back in 46 or even 49, it had 62,000 cyclists. And a few years ago, that number was 48,000. So we're kind of returning the role of the bicycle, so to speak. We treat cycling very importantly. So of course we have a lot of strategies in place, and they are part of many of our plans. It's important for us in the city never to plan for something alone. So it's the holistic approach where cycling is definitely an important part of our mobility planning, an important part of our urban life planning and general planning. Just to give you a few numbers. So we cycle 1.4 million kilometers in Copenhagen every single day, so many times around the world. The busiest stretches sees around 33,000 cyclists a day, and we have a ratio of 6 bicycles to every car in Copenhagen. And it's up because often people will also own more than one bike. As you see down in the corner there, the cargo bike. And 25% of families who have 2 kids or more, they will have a cargo bike, and it's often instead of a car. But when you have so many cargo bikes in the city, you also need to widen the bicycle paths because you need cargo bike is often slower transport, so you need to be able to overtake it. So it's putting even more demand on our bicycle infrastructure. Just to say that the benefits from investing in cycling are so many. So that the number, the first one, it's the equivalent of about 15 cents. But that is saved every time somebody in Copenhagen cycles a kilometer in healthcare costs. So a healthy population is a cheaper population, so to speak. So there's a 5 to 6 years longer life expectancy if you're physically active. And for many, just their trip to work or study, that every day to and from, that would be covered in that. So also a reduced mortality rate. So people ask, why is it that Copenhageners cycled? I said it a little bit before as well, but it's because it's easy, it's fast. So if it's the fastest and easiest way to get from A to B, and it's safe, then people will use it. So it's not because people are thinking that much about sustainability when it comes to this choice. They maybe do that in other choices, but this choice is simply because we made it easy and we made it fast. So as you can see, that the point that it's eco-friendly is a minor thing in this case. We don't do a lot of campaigns when it comes to getting people to cycle, but we do most of our campaigning through infrastructure. And right, the middle picture shows you the cycle serpent, which is a bicycle bridge, and we have a lot of infrastructure made only for cycling or walking. so that you could see that way it's chosen. In the winter time, if we have snow, then we choose to clear for pedestrians first, then we clear the bicycle paths, and then we clear the streets. So that's also a signal showing who we think is most important, but also to say that we can't have people, suddenly everybody using their cars instead of their bicycle, because there simply isn't space on the street. So that's why we choose to do so. Just to show you a little of the infrastructure, this is the classic one. So you have a sidewalk, and they're all elevated, as you can see, which is important. Measures. Three daughters, and my youngest one, who is 8, she has been cycling since she was 3 in front of me. I won't let her cycle yet alone. She can do that when she's 10, but this is something that we do, and we feel quite safe doing so. So just to show you the connection of the bicycle paths. So we have, of course, a lot of bicycle paths in the inner city, but we also want to compete with longer trips. We know that people will quite normally cycle 7 to 8 kilometers, but after that they start considering alternatives. So here is a picture of our super cycle highways connecting the outer suburb areas to the city as well, and they're often they have their own path and go through greenery, and they can compete travel time with the car, which is quite interesting. So as you can see, we can still do a lot. We are not nearly there yet, because we have all these bicycles and we have all these people transporting themselves, but we actually have a lot of congestion on the bicycle paths. And as you can see, we only use 7% of the street space for all these people cycling. And as you can see, parking and the rest of the road takes up a lot of space. So there's more space left that we can utilize differently when you look at the modes of transport. Sorry. So this is just to show you how important it is to ask the citizen. What does this map do? This is citizenship involvement. This is a map of Copenhagen, and we have asked them, where are you missing a bicycle path? Where is it too narrow, and where is there too much congestion? And normally when you ask citizen things, you don't get that many answers, but when you ask them digitally and they can point to a place they think is dangerous, this is a way to do it. Yes, Daniela? 1 minute left, that's fine, but that was my last slide. So I'm back just to say thank you very much for giving me the time to talk about cycling in Copenhagen.
Obrigada, Mônica.
Thank you, Monica. I feel like riding a bike in Copenhagen. And it's interesting, your presentation, because the infrastructure that cities have to create so that people can walk safely with the bikes, it's very impressive. The city is amazing. Let's see if we can go back to ask you some questions. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I can't really say your name. I'll call you for your last name. The Nijmengen Green Capital, building a sustainable future for all of us in multi-level cooperation. Let's see. I hope I am pronouncing Nijmegen correctly. The city is located the east of Holland and received the title of Green Capital in 2018. The city is growing and it has over 170,000 people and populational density of 3,000 by square kilometers. From this title, it has been able to involve most of its citizens and businesses. The city hopes to become neutral in energy until 2045 and climate-proof protected until 2050. And it wants to reach its goals along with the local interests. The People and business and institutions are integral part to the environmental improvement. The city has created a company called Green Connects to improve civil participation. Another highlights include expansion of green places in the middle of the city, a project of permablitzes, where city creates very fast refurbishing throughout the gardens in the city. Let's hear now Mr. Wiht van Gokken and meet this different city in Holland. Good morning. You have the word.
Good morning, everybody in Brazil. It's nice to be here, but before I start off, I would ask the technical department to start the first video.
Nijmegen is the European Green Capital, and that is special. The way in which we achieve this is just as special. Thanks to a big group of green go-getters, we were able to show that a better world starts with you. We are European Green Capital because we are able to bring together residents, businesses and government unlike any other. We set the example for other cities, not by shouting out about what we can do, but rather by asking what is important in life. After all, sustainability is not about having the most electric cars or the highest windmills. Sustainability is about the future. A future that we are taking charge of. We are the Green Capital, all of us. Over the last years, hundreds of initiatives have been started in our city that make our world more beautiful and more sustainable. Big ones and small ones. This year, people from all over Europe are coming to Nijmegen to meet and to learn from one another. To learn about how large problems can be tackled effectively. And we can learn from this as well. In the upcoming year, we'll be the largest green lab in Europe. How do you keep a city vital? What smart solutions are there for new sustainable energy? How do we keep our feet dry? How can we ensure that what we use can be reused? How do you get from A to B without any pollution? Important questions. After all, sustainability is not a vague concept. Sustainability is a fast-growing green economy which is creating a lot of new jobs. Sustainability is about our quality of life, because sustainability means that we want to live good lives for a very long time to come. This year, Nijmegen is the proud green capital of Europe. But this is only the beginning. We made a promise to ourselves and a promise to the future. We live in a wonderful world. And we want the very same for our children.
Wow.
Okay, you can stop the video now. Thank you. I'll take a moment to share my screen and then let's kick off. Here it is. At least I hope. Although it's not in presentation mode yet. But now it is. So about Nijmegen European Green Capital 2018. The title is Building a Sustainable Future for All on Multi-Level Cooperation. And I'd like to guide you through the Nijmegen program to show you why. I am Ulrich van Gorkum, I'm policy advisor on sustainability, and in our Green Capital year, I was also coordinator of our Green Capital Project Office. So, a few things about Nijmegen first, and some facts that might be interesting for Copenhagen as well, because we have 180,000 citizens, but over 250,000 bicycles. So the average Nijmegen in a citizen has 1.2 or 3 bicycle every age. Nijmegen is the oldest city in the Netherlands. It was founded during the Roman era, more than 2,000 years ago. And we are a student city with 2 universities. We are a green and friendly city with a lot of nature surrounding the city mostly, and quite a southern atmosphere. And Nijmegen is located at the delta of the River Rhine, on the main branch which connects through inland shipping the port of Rotterdam with the German industrial area, including the green capital of 2017, Essen. So let's see, this list has been presented before, so I won't waste much time on that, but here you see where the European green capitals are. The little red dot is Nijmegen. In 2013, Nijmegen was ranked first on a national benchmark for sustainability for municipalities. And of course, we were proud of that, but we decided to find an international benchmark as well, because we wanted to know how we would score on that one. And after some searching, we decided to take part in the most elaborate international sustainability benchmark we could find, European Green Capital Award. That is a direct competition of cities based on achievements and plans and policies for sustainability. We competed, like some other cities, for 3 times before we were able to win. But already the first time when we were finalists to our own surprise, we were already very proud. And to answer a question or a remark Claudia Fusco made in the beginning, simply competing in the competition already helped us to map our performances on various sustainability topics very well. So competing is beneficial by itself. But now, why did Nijmegen win? Of course, we had the achievements like in green and nature. For example, every citizen can get to a park within 300 meters of where he or she lives. But also in sustainable and renewable energy, you can see a few wind turbines here. Those are part of the citizen-owned wind park. That is actually now, as we speak, extended with a solar farm and an energy storage facility as well. So some of our citizens are taking back, you can say, the power supply in Nijmegen. We have, of course, as a Dutch city, reputation, I would say, on water management and climate adaptation. In the photo on the bottom left side of the screen, you can maybe recognize that the River Rhine, has 2 branches now. We had a huge project to create a second river channel by moving the river dike for 300 meters backwards. And that measure provided reduced flood risk by 50%, which is a significant amount because tens of thousands of people live far below the flooding level of the river. In the middle bottom, you can find a group of children active in the circular economy and waste management, you can say, because that is a school project called Neighborhood Heroes, in which the children clean up actually their own neighborhoods. a project from our waste management company. And of course, mentioned before already, we have those 250,000 bicycles. So we have a lot of bicycle infrastructure, cycling lanes, fast cycling lanes, but also bicycle parking facilities, everything to make that easier as well. We even have traffic jams for bicycles at sometimes. But most of all, we believe Nijmegen won the Green Capital title because of our strong stakeholder support and engagement. Stakeholders were included in our delegation for the competition and also in the project team. Let's see, to our program, we designed the Green Capital program around 5 themes that citizens can relate to. So we had the green and healthy theme, the solar and wind power, energy power theme, the living with water. It was all in the introduction video. Of course, the waste management, no waste policy, and sustainable transport with a large, important part for the bicycle. Now, the program itself, of course, we had the 3 formal events, an opening ceremony, an awarding ceremony, and a closing ceremony. We also had many international events, mostly aimed at professionals on different, various topics for sustainability, ranging from procurement to inland shipping to what's it called, agroforestry, well, many others. Of course, we had local and regional events and activities aiming both at professionals and at citizens. We had a cultural side program, mostly with a sustainability twist, and we had hospitality. If you look at the picture on the right bottom, there you can see what happened during the visit of our king. He is testing a fully circular design bench or couch, which was placed in the green area. And the guy cheering is the designer of the bench. Let's see, what else is there? Okay, we had a lot of good examples that we tried to show during the year. And of course, we had citizen initiatives and challenges. We had even a foundation called Green Capital Challenges. They prepared challenges for the city of Nijmegen and for the citizens of Nijmegen 1 year before we were Green Capital. And they involved as many citizens as they could to reach those challenges and presented the results during the Green Capital year. So there were 12 challenges, 1 for every month. What I think we did in the end is we had a lot of communication as well, of course. But looking back, I think we were performing some kind of multi-level cooperation with various stakeholders, not only citizens and businesses, but also not-for-profit organizations, educational institutes, and, important as well, governments. Our biggest sponsor financially was the regional government of the province of Gelderland. And I think I can safely say we couldn't have done it without them. And of course, we also had a lot of cooperation with the European Union and on various scales with the national government as well. You need all this cooperation to make it happen. Then, some results of our Green Capital year. I can just pick a few of them if I can read them, because there are some things hidden now. We had paving stones removed with this 190,000 paving stones removed with this campaign called Operation Stonebreaker. We had, well, vegetarian restaurants. The call for action was mentioned as well at COP24. But maybe most important is we calculated that we had 6.5 million of public relation value. But even more important than money or the financial value is that in the end, the biggest impact was that we created what we created in the hearts and minds of the people about sustainability. We raised awareness and support, and we even managed to influence behavior of approximately 10% of the citizens.
Desculpa, você teria pouquinho só de tempo agora, 30 segundos.
My apologies, you have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. Well, this is more or less the end. So let's see. We were here for best practices. So I've listed them here. We should really activate the combined power of citizens, institutions, and businesses and governments as well. We should create multi-level cooperation with all kinds of stakeholders, networks, all kinds of parties we can think of. An important one, we should cherish and respect small actions as well as big actions. We should be a responsive government here and support civil society initiatives. We should practice what we preach and improve our policies, which is what we're doing still. We should create an attractive, sustainable future for all. And we should focus on what can be done now. This should be the lessons I had to share with you. And there is one video left, but maybe we're out of time for that one. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I said Nijmegen. Yeah. Now I know. Yeah. It's really interesting your experience, and o banco da cidade é impressionante. Nunca
The
vi.
city bank is impressive. I have never seen anything like that, and all the involvement of the city to submit to the award, to this position of Green City in Europe. Thank you very much. I know you have a video, but I don't think we have the time at the moment. We'll try and do some questions at the end.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Now we invite Environmental Chief of Essen, Simone Haskell, for a city of iron that transforms into green. It's the capital city of 2017, the 9th biggest city in Germany. The populational density is ever growing. It's located around the roof, and its industrial history was connected to mining of charcoal in the beginning of 19th century. The last mine was closed in 86, and ever since the city is a financial and services center. Essen does great efforts to establish as a city in transformation after a challenging industrial start. The city believes the key to the success is its citizens. The app has The city has implemented several practices to protect and improve nature as an effort to remove itself from charcoal. Not only creating green city, let's see this transformation, this amazing transformation of the city. Miss Simone Raskob, you have the word.
Oh. Não vejo a Simone. Será que ela caiu? Deixa eu ver.
Miss Simone?
Pede para ela ligar o vídeo dela. O vídeo dela está desligado, mas ela está na sala.
Simone?
Simone? Please, if you could turn your video on, we can't see you.
Can you put your video on? Because you are in the room, but we are not seeing you. Acho que nós temos algum problema aqui com a Simone.
I believe we have some kind of issue with Simone. She is here. Essen is the last city of this first panel. Let's see if she can connect.
Bom, vamos esperar mais alguns minutos.
Let's wait a few more minutes. Let's see. Oh, I believe. We can see Simone's presentation, but we can't hear you, Simone. Yes.
We had some problems with the camera, yeah, but now it works. So
Okay.
nice to meet you in the network. Nice that you invite us to your meeting. My name is Simone Raskop. I'm the Vice Mayor of Environment, Mobility and Sports of the city of Essen. Essen has 600,000 inhabitants, and the region Metropolis Ruhr has 5 million inhabitants. And you can see here a picture from a central park in the center of Essen. Essen was 2017 a European Green Capital City. You can see the goals on the right side. And the most important was the mobility goal, that we will reach 25% model split until 2035 for the 4 mobility parts, like to go by foot, bicycle, public transport, and only 25% for cars. We started with a regional application in 2013, and the European Commissioner said that it's not possible to make a regional application. So we started with a city application in the year 2014, and 2015 we won the title. And it was very nice that we got a gift from the Metropole Ruhr. They made the first environmental report to our Green Capital year 2017. Most important was for you perhaps what happened after the year 2017. And we are very glad that we could present our first Green Capital Progress Report in March this year in our City Council meeting. And so the politic can see what we had, what are the challenges, what were our successes since 2017, but what is also our obstacles on the way to achieve the defined goals. And this report will be every year in the City Council. So we have also a big discussion about the process after 2017 in our city. You know all the 12 goals. We integrate them in our holistic management system to the sustainability strategy. You know all the 17 SDGs, and the mayor, Mr. Kufen, will bring his sustainability strategy, I think, in the second part of this year in the City Council. One highlight project was the first bicycle highway in Germany, and it connects 5 million inhabitants. On the west side, Duisburg, near Rhine, and on the east side, it's Dortmund and Hamm, and Essen is in the west part, and the part between Essen and Mülheim and nearly to Duisburg is now finished. So the rest part is under construction. And you can see in the development of our city along this bicycle highway. We had 3 big projects, and we built there 3 new parks in the time until 2070, and the parks were the starting point for also the whole city development in these parts. Here you can see the university district. It's finished since 2 years now. We built first the park, blue and green infrastructure, and afterwards the flats, but also the apartments, and also a big building for a public press company, the WATS. It's a very big company they built here. Here's the Krupp Park. It's the North Park is finished since 5 years. The South Park is under construction, but will be finished in this year. It's a new park with more than 20 hectares. So it's also a very important development in this west part of Essen. This is a new project. We built a new district. The name is Essen 51. It's a 51 neighborhood. It's on the area of the ThyssenKrupp area. It's 200 hectares. The size is bigger than the Hafen city in Hamburg. And a part of this project is under construction. And we built there, you can see the green part, green and blue infrastructure, a park, and the water comes from the roofs of the buildings. Here's the Lake Niederfeld. Lake Niederfeld is finished in 2014. The buildings on the right side are also finished for flats. And on the left side, where you can see a small green part, it's under construction, new buildings, new flats for the people who like this new lake and also the new park. So it's also going on. A very important project since 15 years is, the name is New Ways to Water, connecting through green. 15 years, more than 500 projects with more than 100 million euros in the last 15 years. The idea is to connect the valley in the south from the Baldeneys Sea in the south with the new valley in the north. It's the Emscher Valley. And they are connected with green and blue infrastructures, always with new bicycle paths and also new parks. The whole regional, the Essen's bike paths are connected with the regional bike paths. You can see Essen is only, you can see it's in the middle, but you can see all the bicycle paths in the region. So it's wonderful to go from one big city to the next city. A very important was the social aspect, because it's also a labor market project. Long-term unemployed people are qualified with this project as New Ways to Water, and they work to build this bicycle path, but also to look that they're in a good condition, and more than 500 persons work for this project. So the next step is the Green Decade. We look forward to the Regional International Horticulture Exhibition in 2027. Essen is also a part from this project, but it's also over the whole region with 5 million people. Our project is on the level Our Garden, and we take part, for example, with the Channel Shore Park Essen-Bottrop, and the investment is 12 million euros for this park. And on the west side is a big Emscher project in Gelsenkirchen. At the end, I only want to see you the timetable. We started 2010 when Essen was European Capital of Culture, together with the whole region. And in this year, the idea to make another regional project started. And this was a starting point for the application for the European Green Capital application. And when we were European Capital, started the idea for the Green Decade, and then the decision for the International Horticultural Exhibition in 2027. So we always on a way to get a livable city, a green city, and we like also the work in these networks with the other green capital cities. So thank you very much for your interest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Muito impressionante.
Thank you. It's very impressive to see the transformation of Essen, how a city can reinvent itself. This is the effort. We have many questions here. Now would be the moment to do the questions. They are about how these green platforms were put to the citizens, if there was any resistance or not. Many very interesting questions, but we don't have the time, unfortunately. So what I want now is to say that the questions will be answered to everyone that has done them through a special email that I have mentioned before. And unfortunately, we don't have the time now. Now we will do a picture before our second panel. I would like to invite the ambassador, Claudia, everyone who's here from the first panelists, so we can do a picture together. It's a shame because, yes, that's it. Here we are. I think we have to smile very widely now. Let's. That's it. Mila, everyone ready? Okay.
Pronto. Muito obrigada.
That's it. Thank you very much. It's a shame we had many questions. We met all these cities, how Ljubljana could decontaminate its lake, the bicycles in Copenhagen. We met Nijmegen. We went through the transformation of Essen, and now we have to go to our second panel. We have another 5 green cities. Now we will meet the experiences of Vitoria-Gasteiz in Spain, green capital of 2012. Then Hamburg in Germany, the green capital of 2011. Stockholm in Sweden. It says 2010, but I have 2014 in my card. It's probably 2014. And Oslo in 2019, and Grenoble in France, green capital in 2022. Just to remind you that we will try to do the questions of the audience after the presentations. If we don't have the time, the questions will be answered in a future moment. So now I will invite the coordinator, Ms. Sarai Zarate.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hola.
Perdona, te he cortado, perdona. Buenas tardes.
No se preocupe. Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Vitoria-Gasteiz is the capital of, it's one of the, it has
da Espanha. Tem uma população de
it's one of the greenest cities in Spain.
É considerada uma cidade calma e acessível, mas muito ativa, dinâmica, vibrante e moderna. que se orgulha de seus mais de 10 milhões de metros quadrados de espaços verdes. Que legal, que inveja. Um cinturão verde.
It's envious. It's a green century.
Tem áreas de recreação que envolvem essa cidade inteirinha. Essa rede verde está conectada por uma rede de 33
This green network is connected by 33 kilometers of tracking and 90 kilometers of cyclepaths.
Então, com esse premiado design
Now
urbano,
this awarding urban design, animated social life, the city is a perfect model for where many European people live.
Vitoria-Gasteiz is
sustainable,
compact,
accessible,
healthy,
solidarity,
committed, open,
green.
Vitoria-Gasteiz, building the green city of the future together.
Yo cultivo una huerta ecológica en el Anillo Verde. Yo hago Vitoria-Gasteiz verde por dentro.
Today, 613 hectares of greenbelt, 600,000 annual uses. A Ramsar wetland area, home to the European mink and 17 species of waterfowl. 210 organic farming plots. A sustainable way of preventing flooding. Tomorrow, a further 174 hectares of greenbelt, a botanical garden of Europe's woodland, 360 organic farming plots.
Ni bizikletaz eta garraio publikoan mugitzen naiz. Gasteiz barrutik berde egiten dut nik.
Today, sustainable mobility plan, new bus network, 2 tram lines, 97 kilometers of cycle lanes, 30 kilometers of pedestrian streets, 5,500 park and ride spaces. Tomorrow, another 60 kilometers of cycle lanes, 71% of public space adapted for pedestrian and bicycle use, 30% of travel by bus or bicycle.
I renovate buildings and I take advantage of geothermal energy. I make Vitoria-Gasteiz green inside.
Today, 40 kilometers of pneumatic collection network, consumption of 117 liters of water per capita, network efficiency 89%, 284 days a year with good air quality, nearly 17,000 square meters of solar thermal panels installed in 2009. Tomorrow, closing cycles towards zero waste. 45% of selective collection of municipal waste generated in 2016. Water consumption below 100 liters per person per day, towards a carbon-neutral city. Reducing CO2 emissions per capita by 33% in 2020. Installation of 37,500 square meters of solar thermal units and 14 megawatts of photovoltaic solar panels. Electric vehicle is the key element of the city strategy.
I study and do sport every day at the Civic Center. Like me, over 99% of Victoria citizens enjoy basic services less than 300 meters from their homes. Vitoria-Gasteiz is also green outside.
Today, 46 square meters of green areas per inhabitant, 130,000 trees in the streets, 12 civic centers. About 90% of the population lives within 300 meters of basic services. Tomorrow, zero consumption of land in the next town development plan. Urban regeneration of the old quarters.
Vitoria-Gasteiz.
Green outside.
Green inside. Ready to become the European Green Capital.
Vitoria-Gasteiz. Green outside, green inside.
Ahora sí, Saray.
Muy bien, muchas gracias por la invitación, por poder estar aquí esta tarde. Bueno, este vídeo es el vídeo que preparamos para la candidatura de 2012, ¿vale? Y ahora voy a tratar de explicaros un poquito pues cómo la preparamos. Voy a ver si puedo compartir pantalla, si os parece. A ver si me deja. ¿Lo veis?
Sí.
Sí, vale. Bueno, pues os voy a ir contando, ¿vale? La Vitoria-Gasteiz Green Capital 2012 fue un reconocimiento de algo que no fue preparado precisamente para esa convocatoria, ¿no? Sino que fue un fruto de un trabajo que se venía trabajando desde hace muchos años en la ciudad, vinculado a la estrategia de la ciudad y poniendo siempre a las personas, a los ciudadanos y a las ciudadanas en el centro. ¿Vale? A continuación os presentaré una serie de hitos que fuimos trabajando a lo largo de los años hasta 2012 y continuamos trabajando a día de hoy, ¿vale? Desde 1979 veníamos incentivando políticas activas en relación al bienestar social, medio urbano y calidad de vida de la población. A partir del año 1982, cuando se trató de abordar la rehabilitación integral del casco medieval, bueno, pues se detectó la necesidad de abordar esta transformación no solo desde un aspecto urbanístico, sino desde una perspectiva mucho más social, más humana, ambiental, cultural, socioeconómica, y esa es la clave en la que se ha trabajado. Una de las claves y de los éxitos de todo este proceso, como vais a ver durante la intervención, es el alto nivel de participación ciudadana, que inicialmente plantearon temas del día a día relacionados con vivienda, con urbanización, con espacios verdes, pero que poco a poco se han ido especializando y son los que han hecho, ¿no?, precisamente que ese compromiso con la participación y esa exigencia ha hecho que a nivel político haya sido necesario reflexionar y abordar sus demandas y a día de hoy seguimos en esa línea, ¿no?, trabajando desde la exigencia y desde el compromiso de la ciudadanía. En el año 1995 firmamos la Carta Albor de Ciudades y Pueblos hacia la Sostenibilidad. En esta carta nos comprometimos a trabajar estrategias locales hacia la sostenibilidad, pero desde un punto de vista de economía urbana, de justicia social urbana, de movilidad urbana, actuando de manera responsable frente al cambio climático, potenciando el desarrollo de lo local y dando siempre protagonismo a los ciudadanos y la participación. Asimismo, de la mano de esta carta se puso en marcha la Agenda 21 vitoriana, que sigue en marcha hoy en día y que es un instrumento para avanzar hacia comunidades más sostenibles y con el que aspiramos a mejorar la calidad de vida y el bienestar de los ciudadanos y ciudadanas a través del máximo respeto al medio ambiente y a sus recursos y poniendo siempre al ser humano en el centro, ¿vale? De hecho, bueno, todos los años, el 5 de junio, el Día del Medio Ambiente, el Ayuntamiento presentamos el boletín de la Agenda 21, donde informamos de todos los indicadores de sostenibilidad y de las acciones llevadas a cabo a este respecto. En el año 1996 y 1997 preparamos el borrador técnico de estrategias y acciones hacia la sostenibilidad, en el que participaron técnicos municipales de muy diversos ámbitos y muy especializados, como he comentado antes, ¿no?, de una manera muy transversal. Participaron técnicos de ordenación del territorio, de urbanismo, de salud ambiental, de consumo, medio ambiente, deporte, aguas, pero todos con un enfoque de sostenibilidad, todos con un mismo objetivo. En el año 98 se aprobó en el Pleno Municipal por unanimidad la medición y evaluación a través de un sistema de indicadores de las condiciones de sostenibilidad del municipio. En el año 2021, esta es una iniciativa, bueno, pues, muy bonita, ¿no?, que es la Agenda 21 escolar, que se puso en marcha, que sigue funcionando en la actualidad y que pretende involucrar a la comunidad educativa, a profesores y profesoras, alumnos y alumnas, padres y madres, en la consecución de una ciudad más sostenible. De hecho, bueno, lo veréis luego, pero en el año de la candidatura participaron 20.000 alumnos en una ciudad, ¿no?, de 240.000 habitantes, pues 20.000 alumnos participaron en actividades de la Agenda 21 escolar. En el año 2002 se aprobó el Plan de Acción Ambiental 2002-2007. En el año 2006 comenzamos la lucha contra el cambio climático con un plan de reducción de emisiones y con un plan de cambio climático 2010-2020. En el año 2010 la Junta de Gobierno aprobó el segundo Plan de Acción Local de Agenda 21, que sustituía al anterior y que pretendía acercarse a objetivos locales y globales de sostenibilidad. Y sobre todo, lo más importante, como vengo repitiendo, es los instrumentos y experiencias de participación ciudadana que fueron creando durante estos años, ¿no? Pues uno de los ejemplos es el Consejo Sectorial de Medio Ambiente, que era un órgano consultivo compuesto por 40 colectivos ciudadanos que se reunían de manera periódica, la Agenda 21 escolar, como he comentado, el Foro Ciudadano para la Movilidad Sostenible, que estaba constituido para debatir sobre movilidad, y gracias a su trabajo se materializó la firma de un pacto ciudadano en el que se consensuó un nuevo modelo de movilidad para Vitoria-Gasteiz y sobre todo la implicación de la ciudadanía en la mejora de indicaciones ambientales, ¿no? En consumo de agua, en uso de transporte público, en participación de actividades de educación ambiental. O sea, la verdad que el compromiso de los ciudadanos y ciudadanas vitorianos es algo que se daba, como veis, ya desde hace muchos años y que sigue en la actualidad. Entonces, bueno, pues todo este proceso que os he relatado fue el que concluyó en el año 2012 con el reconocimiento de Vitoria-Gasteiz como Green Capital, y en este hecho hay un componente de oportunidad muy importante. Además de ese impulso técnico y de esa participación ciudadana, fue clave el consenso político. De hecho, en la presentación de la candidatura pues, hubo participación de todos los grupos políticos, todos trabajaron a una para conseguir este objetivo y fue, pues, como digo, las claves: el consenso político, el impulso técnico y la participación ciudadana. Además, en el año en el que se estaba preparando la candidatura, se lanzó en la ciudad una campaña que se llamaba Vitoria-Gasteiz, verde por dentro, verde por fuera, como habéis escuchado en el vídeo, porque, bueno, es cierto que pues, la realidad es que no teníamos muchas esperanzas, ¿no? de ser Green Capital, porque, bueno, éramos una ciudad pequeña de 240.000 habitantes y, bueno, no había muchas esperanzas, pero el orgullo de estar ahí era importante, ¿no? Entonces, queríamos hacer, pues, creérselo a los ciudadanos, ¿no? Y por eso se creó esa campaña para crear una implicación, un compromiso, un orgullo de estar ahí, independientemente de cuál fuera el resultado, ¿no? El trabajo ya estaba hecho, era un trabajo de muchos años atrás, de toda la ciudad, y de alguna forma tenía que llegar a ellos todo lo que se había hecho. Pero bueno, además, ¿no? Pues fuimos designados Capital Verde Europea 2012 con muchísimo orgullo. Esta fue la felicitación, una de las que se trasladó a la ciudadanía, ¿no? Donde pone, bueno, pues felicidades, bueno, sorionak, ¿no? En euskera, y dice: lo mejor de ser capital verde europea es mirar al futuro y saber que Vitoria-Gasteiz seguirá siendo verde por fuera y verde por dentro. Y bueno, pues ¿qué beneficios nos ha traído el ser capital verde europea? Pues bueno, pues muchísima mayor visibilidad internacional, crecimiento del turismo, cobertura positiva en los medios de comunicación internacionales, incorporación a nuevas redes y nuevas alianzas, desarrollo económico, un impulso para continuar trabajando en sostenibilidad ambiental, pero sobre todo el orgullo local y el sentimiento de pertenencia, ¿no? Y precisamente ese orgullo es el que hace que desde 2012 sigamos trabajando, ¿no? con el mismo entusiasmo y con la misma fuerza, igual la ciudadanía y los técnicos también, de la misma manera. De hecho, bueno, en 2019 fuimos designados Global Green City y seguimos manteniendo ese compromiso de seguir trabajando hacia una ciudad sostenible, resiliente, que ponga a las personas, su salud, seguridad y bienestar por encima de otras consideraciones. Y os quería poner aquí unas imágenes de nuestro mayor orgullo, de nuestra joya, a la que os invito a todos a venir, que es el anillo verde vitoriano. Lo ha mencionado al inicio de la presentación. Es un proyecto que se comenzó en el año 1992 para regenerar la periferia degradada. Bordea toda la ciudad con 33 kilómetros verdes y tiene 90 kilómetros de itinerarios peatonales y ciclistas. Y bueno, pues frente a soluciones de tipo ingenieril, lo que se optó fue por conservar los espacios naturales y buscar en la propia naturaleza la solución. Y la verdad que, bueno, pues estamos orgullosísimos de nuestro anillo verde y están todos invitados a visitarlo. Y bueno, aquí un pequeño resumen, ¿no? Pues lo que se ha trasladado, ¿no? Fuimos la primera ciudad de tamaño medio en ganar el premio Capital Verde Europea, ¿no? Al final, pues en este tipo de ciudades son donde vive el 80% de los ciudadanos europeos, ¿no? Y precisamente el 80% somos los que tenemos la fuerza para transformar Europa. Entonces, bueno, pues ese orgullo, ¿no? Como ciudad de tamaño medio.
Interromper por el tiempo. Disculpa.
Acabo ya está. Nada. La relación con la naturaleza, espacios verdes urbanos, los redes de equipamientos públicos, política de ahorro de agua y la política de movilidad sostenible fueron las claves. Y nada, muchísimas gracias a todos. Un saludo.
Muchas gracias. Muito obrigada, Sarai.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting to meet the city. It's a different city for us. So we are rushing here because people are telling me that we don't have time to do the questions at the end, but they ask that you send the questions anyway. And there is an email that you can send your questions to. I will ask to display it, and the presentations of the cities will also be given. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. We are very delayed, but the questions will be answered. Thank you very much for your presentation. And now I invite Ms. Jenica from Hamburg for the speech. Hamburg, Green Capital 10 years later. Hamburg is the second biggest city in Germany. It has a broadened approach with political and financing investment to solve the challenges. It is around the edges of Elbe River. It has a 1.8 million inhabitants. The port is the second largest of Europe in number of containers delivered. The ever-growing demand is taken by using the terrain around in new areas. Hamburg looked for green answers for since then. Hamburg has ambitious as diminishing the CO2 emissions by 40% into 2020 and 80% into 2050. The emissions for people have been reduced 15% with an economy of 46,000 megawatts. It's a great accomplishment for a great city. Now let's hear how Hamburg has arrived there with Miss Jennifer Wesche. Good afternoon, Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Daniela. Thank you for this really nice introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. I was the project manager 10 years ago for the European Green Capital Award. So right now, this actually feels like a little family reunion. It's been really inspiring to see how every city that we've been working with has proceeded and has really progressed so much. So I have to say congratulations to all of us, because no green capital has ever stopped working on becoming better. And I think this is really amazing. So hello, everybody. And I have been following this discussion because I was really curious how everything went on. And I'm really inspired, and that makes my work much happier, I have to say. So yeah, and also thank you for the introduction to the numbers. So I don't really have to give any numbers. I will now start the presentation, and I will hopefully be able to do that. That didn't work, I'm sorry. Yes. I fear that. So we go here. What can you see actually?
Yes.
Can you see something?
Not now.
Not now. All right, I'll try that again.
Okay. We were seen.
And now we go on this one here. So.
Yes.
This happened yesterday again. So.
Now it's perfect.
Is it perfect? Can you see? I'm sorry, I have really a very strange screen here, so I don't really know. I start with my first slide. Do you see 2 slides or 1 slide?
2 slides, the board and a green one.
Yeah, sorry about that. So this is going to be the way it works. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. So when we started pitching for the European Green Capital Award, it was it was the first time that the cities pitched for that, because Stockholm and Hamburg pitched for 2 years succeeding each other. So we were new to the competition, and we thought when we entered the competition, we wanted to know where we stand in terms of environmental policies and environmental measures, and also on standards. So this was actually the reason why we entered the competition, and also we wanted to know where we can do better. So, and I have to say, and now we're saying that, well, openly, but back then it was discussed if we should do that. We didn't really think we would win, because we thought, well, we're doing what everybody is doing. But apparently we did better. And now if we look at that, why is that the case? What is so special about Hamburg? We believe that because we are a harbor city, and you mentioned the numbers, Daniela, you can see the first picture here with the industry and the harbor. This is actually a picture of the harbor 2 kilometers from the city center. So we have industrial activities going on very close. So we are quite a dense city, where we have economic activities and just residential activities close by. So this is something that every city apparently has to deal with on some scale, but in Hamburg it's especially true since it is so close. Also, at the same time, Hamburg is very green. You can see here, this is the downtown, the Alster Lake. Also downtown, 2 kilometers from city center, very green. Of course, also a rich area. We have to say that as well, because we're quite an as a city, we're quite well off. But also, of course, we also have social disparities in the city as well. So these 2 things that we have, that we already can count on quite a good surrounding in terms of trees and natures, and also agriculture, which of course is not always ecologically perfect, not at all, and the industrial activities make it really interesting. Also, as a big city, I know in comparison to Sao Paulo, we're quite small, but still we showed that economy and ecology can go hand in hand. Those are contradictions. I think everybody who says that it's not a contradiction might be a little blue-eyed, but we managed to actually try to combine these 2. And every side has to at times, not be able not to win their situation. So, so we have really had a very nice and a very good year. I'm not really mentioning all the activities that we did. I think one of the most important activities was the Train of Idea, a rolling exhibition going through Europe, showcasing urban sustainability in 18 cities. That was really fantastic. That was a lot of fun. But as I said, which is true for every city, we marched on, and now we consider ourselves a climate smart city. Back then, the climate plan that Daniela mentioned with the targets back then was already ambitious, but of course we updated our climate plan, and now we also updated the targets. So we are trying to be climate neutral by 2050, and now since the German government actually decided to be climate neutral until 2045, of course we're going to change that as well. Because usually we're better than the national level, but at this time the national level was smarter. It was because of a decision by the highest court in Germany that we have to do that. So we updated our climate plan, And I think what's really special about this climate plan is that now we hold every ministry, we're city-states, so we have ministries, we hold every ministry responsible to actually reach the targets. So when we talk about the transformation of mobility to be more sustainable, the Ministry for Sustainability, the Ministry for Mobility has to fulfill the targets, and if it doesn't, we hold this ministry accountable also by cutting the funds. Well, not we as a Ministry for Environment, but the cities decided to do so. So this is not, before that, the Ministry for Urban Environment, and for which I am working, always had to push the ministries to actually do something. Now it is responsibility for the whole city administration. So this is really something quite spectacular, I believe. We have 3 very important transformation paths that we're working on right now. We were doing really good in terms of cutting down the CO2 emissions for the industry and for the economic sector, but we kind of reached the end of the pipe at this point. But now we look at the decarbonization of the heating sector and of energy efficient buildings. So with the city with lots of old buildings, of course, you know that there's a lot of wasted CO2 emissions here. This is one of the things that is really hard to work on, because we have most of the apartments are being rented. We don't really have that much ownership or private ownership of apartments, at least not from the renters. So there are several things that we're doing here. And in terms of the decarbonization of the heating sector, that is another sector that we're working on right now. You might know that Germany decided to not only exit nuclear power by 2022, but also now coal-fired plants by 2038. So that only leaves not a lot of selection on creating energy. So this is one of the most important parts that we have to work on right now, especially in terms of the heating sector, by using more district heating and by using more renewable energy, and trying to work on that, which is quite a challenge. And we are optimistic that we will be able to do that, but it is something that's been discussed quite a long time. One thing that really helped is that we took back the responsibility for our energy grid. In the 90s, there was a big wave of privatization of power grids, the gas grid and the heating grids, and we brought that back. And also because a referendum told us to do so. So the citizens of Hamburg made us do that, but it was really a wise decision. It's been really expensive, but this return of investment has really sold out. So because of the financial system or financiation system for the grids. So this power that we have now in terms of grid system gives us power on what kind of energy we are using, and also on how to actually rebuild and restructure that. We're also working on the transport system. This picture is actually not quite true. This drawing, it should show the cover of an Autobahn, which it shows, but actually the cover, on top of the cover of the Autobahn that is running through downtown Hamburg, is going to be gardens instead of roads. So I have to say this is even a little more interesting for urban development than this picture shows here. Well, yeah, and in terms of model split, I'm always looking with very envious eyes to our northern friends, Copenhagen and also Stockholm, because our model split in the bikes and using cycling is not quite as good, but we come from a long way. So right now we have about 15% cyclists, and we're aiming at having 25 to 30% of cycling, and we're doing what you have to do, and Copenhagen said a lot about that. So we're providing good infrastructure, and if you provide good infrastructure, then people will actually really go cycle themselves, because it's not only healthy and it's easier, and if you have a lot of traffic, it's something that is just logical to do. It's just also a lot of fun, and if you are cycling, you know that sometimes it feels like you're a child again because of that freedom that you have. Public transport and expansion of the rapid transit system, that's also very important for us. We're working on doing that as well, and the underground system and on the light railway system as well. So we're doing expansion in that respect as well. We'll see how the pandemic actually will affect that, because we see a huge decrease in people using the public transport. So we have to get them back again as soon as the pandemic is over, and we just all hope that this is going to be very soon. As to climate adaptation, this is especially true. It's really hot right now in Germany and also apparently Northern Europe. And this is going to be the case for the next, well, for the future. So we will need to work on how to get the heat out of the city, or at least how to make the city livable, even if it's hot. So one of the things that is really good for combating the heat or for making the climate better is, of course, green areas. So we're working on green areas. We have a contract for green right now saying that we are not allowed to actually cut down parks and recreational areas. And if we do, we have to compensate. Every complex that we're building has to provide parks. So that is important. Also, it is important. Oh yeah, I'm almost done.
1 minute.
Okay. What is also important in that respect is that the cloudburst and rainwater management is really something that, because of the cloudbursts, that we're building as well. And this is why we have a really good green roof strategy. This is actually a rendering of a World War II bunker. It will look a little like that after it's done. But you know that if you have a green roof, that actually is not only good for insulation and for biodiversity, but also to keep the water cycle, the natural water cycle, intact. Lastly, the storm, we also have to work on the dike system. Hamburg, the River Elbe is a tidal river linked to the Northern Sea, so we fear rising sea levels. And we integrate the dike system into our architecture. So this is actually a dike that you're seeing here where people are sitting. And so in term like nature-based solution from the EU strategy, we're doing something called maybe the urban solutions and the nice architectural solutions for climate change. Maybe this is a little Bauhaus, I don't know. Well, thank you so much. And I'm happy to answer your questions, or please drop me a line. My contact details, you can see them here, or the organizers, because I really have to leave in about 10 minutes. I'm very sorry.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much. Hamburg is a very beautiful city with this spectacular port. We will have to rush here, and we will now leave Germany and go to France. Thank you very much, Jennifer. And now I invite Mr. Manuel Carro.
Hello, everybody.
How Grenoble became the European Green Capital. I will read.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for today. I'm very happy to be with you. I just hope my English is not so bad. You can understand me and translate me. I want to explain maybe how Grenoble is becoming a green European capital, because we are the next green capital in 22.
Só minuto.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Mr. Emmanuel, I will read about Grenoble. It's a capital of the Alps. The city has a large population of 158,000 inhabitants, surrounded by 3 Alps. The urban expansion is limited. This restriction has become a good point. The city has no other option but to regenerate and rehabilitate. Public transportation is effective and public spaces to renew. The city is very conscious of climate impacts and has clear goals to become more sustainable. Already has a 25% reduction of emissions of gases, and it has shown that reduction in transportation are dissociated from growing population. Grenoble is trying to 50% until 2030 in national and regional level. Now, my apologies, Mr. Manuel. Now you have the word, and we can understand your English perfectly.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can control the screen to project my PowerPoint. It's okay?
Sim, claro.
Like this or not? Est-ce que tu vois mon PowerPoint?
Yes, you can share.
It's okay. Tu vois mon PowerPoint? Okay. So, how Grenoble is becoming a green European capital. You know, of course, I'm very happy to be now a part of Green European Capital. The European Commission European Green Capital Award is given each year, you know that, to a city that demonstrates a commitment to sustainable development. And for Grenoble, it's the first time we try to be a green capital, and we just won the award, so we are very proud of that. For next year, Grenoble is determined to meet the European Commission's high expectations, unite local players around the Commission challenge of stepping up the transition, drive change to accelerate green projects, initiate new partnerships at all levels, local, national, European, and international, mobilize as many people as possible to experiment and massively change behaviors, and learn from and inspire other cities to encourage a more general change.
My apologies, can I interrupt? Would you like to show a presentation? Because we can't see it at the moment.
You can see? Ah. So, maybe like that.
You can share your screen.
Thank you. Is it okay for you?
Se quiser, podemos falar.
If you want, you can say it without the presentations, no problem.
Okay. Non, tu vois pas, toi?
Não se preocupe, continue, desculpe.
You can continue.
I can continue, maybe?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, okay. So Grenoble won the EEGC 22 award because it has been implementing ambitious environmental policies for many years. We are the first French city plan in the start of 25, and we have developed a comprehensive transition strategy for our metropolitan area. In Grenoble, the transition is addressed from a 460 degrees perspective as part of a truly systemic approach. So, what is for us a comprehensive transition strategy? As you can see, maybe I don't know if you see my PowerPoint, but the climate change very fast. The climate projection predict a temperature increase of 2 to 5 degrees in the next century, a decrease in summer precipitation, and a significant reduction in snow cover. Solid climate change, adaptation, and public area policies is create cool areas easily accessible during heat waves. Initiatives open to all are mainly roof farming projects, schemes encouraging new practices like let's transform our street into gardens, program 321 plant off, garden to be adopted, and let's cultivate Grenoble. The greenhouse gases emissions are really decreasing in Grenoble, less than 23% between the start of the century and now, and all sectors combined. If we exclude energy-intensive industry, the transport and housing are the main greenhouse gas emitters. According to a survey, Grenoble citizens are more concerned by air pollution than climate change. It's very different of other French people. The real problem for Grenoble is air pollution. Over the last 10 years, major air pollutants have decreased over the last 10 years, but no, it's not enough. No, it's not enough. 45% of particulate matters PM10 and PM2.5 are exposed to come from outside the metropolitan area. The top air polluters are nitrogen dioxide, fine air carbon particulate matters, and ozone, NOx, like hydrogen oxides. Chronic exposure to air pollution causes 114 deaths per year in Grenoble. Airwood bonus help households renew inefficient wood heating appliance, major source of noxious fine particle emissions. So Grenoble is the second largest city for commuting by bicycle. Cycling increased by 50% between 2010 and 2018. Household mobility survey in 2010 said that 98% of Grenoble population live within 300 meters of a public transport stop. For the energy, 100 of households' electricity needs covered by green electricity next year. And in 10 years, the district heating network mix will be 100% renewable and recovered energy. Sorry. For energy efficiency, we have a program called the Murmure. Murmure was from wall-to-wall retrofitting program launched 10 years ago. The target is 21,000 retrofitted homes by 2013. We have a program for waste circular economy because we have 500 kilograms of waste by inhabitants by year, and the middle of the waste are recycled. 43% are converted into energy. And we have an aquapole wastewater treatment plant products biomethane, which is injected in biogas for the distribution network. For the water, 45% of inhabitants drink tap water. 33% are very satisfied with the taste of the water. We have maybe the best water in France and the cheaper one. We have urban farming. More than 50% of organic and local food is served in primary school canteens in Grenoble. The target is 100% next year. 2 tons of vegetables from municipal horticultural center was used for the local food in canteens. So Grenoble is very balanced. But now we have a question: how can we set up the transitions? By protecting resources, by reducing nuisances, by adapting to climate changes. So we have 12 transition challenges. The challenge 1 is reducing GHG emissions, like accelerate thermal retrofitting plants, reduce the footprint of food supplies to school and nursery, restaurant. The challenge 2, adaptation to climate change. Reclaim the Isère Bank by 2026 and organize a consultation on a swimming site like a lake in Villeneuve. Unseal and green public space to create cool areas. A city and metropolitan canopy plan in public spaces. The challenge 3, sustainable urban mobility. So we want to reinforce the cycling network and promote a modal shift in company mobility plans. Increase the number of shared vehicles available in Grenoble. Traffic claim pacified and streets and around each school in Grenoble with no cars around the schools. The challenge for sustainable land use. Zero net land take target. Create a new urban agriculture in public spaces. Promote transitional urbanism of brownfields. The challenge 5 is nature and biodiversity. We want to prepare a biodiversity protection plan. We want to create new cool areas, create new park in Grenoble. Challenge 6 is air quality, one of our big problems. We want to digital sufficiency plan in administrative departments, support the all vehicle LEZ implemented in 21-22, and reinforce schemes of changing a wool-fueled heating appliances. Challenge 7, noise. We want to recruit ushers to ask people sitting outside in cafe and restaurant to lower their voices in the city center in the night. Exemplary construction cities, whole wood construction, noise reduction, clean cities, improve insulation and air quality. The challenge 8 is waste management, opening a metropolitan reuse repair platform in Grenoble, rolling out of food waste collection throughout the Grenoble area, urban logistic plant with delivery pooling centers and the city edge and carbon-free transport in the city, training of Orsica business and creation a zero waste label, and maintain and develop the repair directory. The challenge 9 is water. So we want to reclaim the easiest banks by 2026 and organize a consultation for creating a swim lake, promote water savings by public and private players, participative greening and soil unsealing, promote the division of collective systems into sectors to improve efficiency, and disconnect surfaces from the metropolitan combined sewer system. The challenge 10 is ecological innovation. Support for innovation, call for expression of interest, support to the hydrogen sector with the focus of green hydrogen, make wood, clay, straw, and recyclery to low carbon concreted standard materials for, and I don't have excuse me. I have a problem with my...
Sorry, but we are... Your time.
Okay, I don't have the end of the world. We have 11 challenge. It's energy performance, accelerated thermal retrofitting plants, prepare for ending fossil fuel use for by 2030, and 100 renewable electricity in Grenoble, thanks to GOG, is our energy creator, and achieve 100% renewable of recovered energy by 2030. And the 12th challenge is governance. Citizen Assembly of the Metropole Climate is created with the Metropolis. Work with the academic, vocational training, and professional stakeholders to direct training towards the transition. I just hope you can see my PowerPoint because I said my English is not so good, but I think I finished my presentation.
Yeah, muito obrigada.
Thank you very much. It's a shame we can't see more of the images. I really want to drink the water in Grenoble. You mentioned green hydrogen. It's something that we are very interested here in Brazil. But thank you very much for your participation. And now we leave France and we go to... We invite Gustav Landau in Stockholm, a city in vanguard of environmental thinking. Stockholm is the capital of Switzerland.
Freedom.
It was the first green capital in Europe. According to 2010 data, it had 8,007. So 1.3 million city Stockholm.
Para o benefício dos seus cidadãos. Olha que beleza essa foto.
Look at this picture, how amazing. Stockholm has invested in plans of sustainability that transform the rivers that were polluted in places adequate for fishing, vacuum bins that have dispensed the trucks. Beyond that, the commitment was to reduce fossil. So now with the word, Mr. Gustav Lando, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. And unfortunately, our Vice Mayor, Mrs. Katarina Lur, did not have the possibility to attend, but she sends her greetings.
Thank you.
And I was actually happy to be the person who presented very much of our proposal in Brussels in 2009 when we were applying to be a green capital. So my experiences are from that period as well. But I'll give you an overview and especially concentrate on some of our climate work, because that's also my main responsibilities in the city. And we were the first European Green Capital back in 2010. And very much of this was due to that this was nothing new for us. We had worked for a long period on integrating urban management with sustainability, and we had ambitious plans already then. We started our first, we're into our 10th environmental plan since 77, I believe, and we're into our 7th climate reduction plan, where we had the first one to the City Council in '96, which I also actually was the father of. So we have done work during a long period, and that was one of the main reason why we actually were the first out green capitals of Europe. Our operational goals are 3. These are the ones which are dominating our city budget, which everything else is sort of sorted in under. A modern city with opportunities for everyone, dynamic and sustainably growing city with a strong economy, and a financially sustainable and innovative city of the future. These goals change with majorities, but these are the ones that we have right now. And they are very much connected also to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So this is all interconnected. Now, if we go from that overall level down to one of the major programs we have, which is the environmental program decided by the City Council years ago, there we have 7 prioritized goals for the Stockholm environment. First of all, we are supposed to be fossil free and also climate positive by 2040. This is not climate neutral. This is way further, because fossil free means that we're not supposed to use any fossil fuels by 2040. And this is not just our own organization, because that's supposed to be so already 2030. This is within the whole geographical area of the city to completely have phased out fossil fuels of any sort. So that's our goal. And we want to be a city adapted to future climate. We know that we will have more storms, more rain. We have done some major adaptations already. We have a huge lake which goes 200 kilometers to the west, which is way outside of the city border as well. But with higher winds and higher precipitation, we will have higher floods of water coming towards the city. So we have increased the possibilities of outflow for water through our locks from 800 cubic meters per second to 2000 cubic meters per second to be able to take care of that. We have goals for our biodiversity, our local air quality and noise, and also very much now along non-toxic issues. Something which is new in this plan is the resource smart Stockholm. Usually earlier we've had goals on waste, but it's not anymore about waste. It's actually about a circular economy where we reuse our resources instead of making them into waste. So it's a new way of thinking which we've introduced in this plan. Now this plan is completely integrated into the municipal budget. So every part of the city has to report every 4 months. The same way they report their expenditures and their earnings and how they've been able to do what they're supposed to, they also report the progress within the environmental program. It's completely integrated and also followed up in a web-based monitoring system. And there's a lot of indicators connected to this as well. And we have some action plans. And one of them is the action plan for the climate. And we started our climate work already in '95. It's the white one in the background. To do so, we started by assessing how much did we actually emit at that time, and how should we calculate our emissions. So we had a standard for calculating our emissions. We had a professor at that time at the Stockholm University, Mr. Beck Bolin, who later became the head of the UN climate panel, who helped us design this. So we were happy to have him on board in our reference group. And we have followed the same way of calculating our emissions since then. Also, once you know your emissions, of course, it's easier to combat them by different plans. So once again, the climate goals are to be fossil-free by 2040 and also be climate positive, which means that by 2040, we will also be taking greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere, reducing the emissions in the air. And I'll come back to that. And then we have the short-term goal also to have maximum 1.5 tons per capita in 2023. When we started in '95, the emissions were 5.4 tons per capita. At present, we're about at 1.8. So we've almost reduced our emissions per capita, calculating the same way, by 70% since '95, which is, I'd say, pretty good work. Then it's difficult to compare cities, of course, because you always calculate in other ways. But I always say, if you compare to what you've done before and you calculate it in the same way, then you can see the progress that has been done. We have also introduced now a climate budget. And this climate budget has emission reduction assignments to 2023 to meet the 1.5 ton goal. These assignments are set up to the different boards within the city. They have the number of tons they are to reduce by then. This is followed up also through the budget process every 4 months. They have to report their progress. Of course, if they can figure out other ways of doing these reductions than the ones suggested in the climate plan, they can, of course, find other ways of doing it, but they have to meet these requirements. So it's a strong pressure for them to meet this. We also have set a cap for all future emissions. So we're not going to emit more than 19 million tons at all in the future from fossil fuels. And this is from all energy used within the municipal border for heating, for transport, for electricity, for running the government with all their computers, everything within the municipal border, and production. There are some industries within Stockholm, even though we're not a traditional industrial town anymore. So all of this is included in the way we calculate. Now, if you could see some of these different assignments per committee and how they are to reduce. a large part, the white part, is actually on the city executive board, because very much of that is getting the national government to give us better power to reduce the emissions from transport by putting in new incentives, because we are lacking some of the possibilities there. But we're working on it. And then we have the Stockholm Exergi, that's the district heating company, which has a significant part as well, which they already have met now by taking away the final fossil-fueled power plant, cogeneration plant. So we don't have any fossil-based heating anymore. More than some of the waste we incinerate has still fossil-based plastics in it, which does give us some emissions. If you look at how the development of the emissions has been since we started our work, they have reduced significantly, as I said. This chart is a bit old. We are now slightly under 2. We're at about 1.8 tons per capita last year in our estimations. And we're going to reach 1.5 tons per capita in 2023. So we're on a good pathway towards being reducing our emissions significantly. And what you can see is the blue or purple line, I'd say, which has gone down the most, and that is from heating. We've done very good work on reducing our emissions from heating, both by getting people to connect to the district heating system, but then also change the source of energy in the district heating system to renewables. And here's the latest plant. It runs on wood chips. You can use up to 13,000 cubic meters of wood chips per day for heating. This comes from tops and branches of trees, where the rest of the products go to the lumber industry. So this is, you could call it waste from the lumber and wood industry, which is used in this plant. At present, the district heating system has a market share of more than 80% of all the heating of space within the city. And for some of the detached single-family houses, they now have, most of them have heat pumps, which takes heat out of the bedrock through electric running heat pumps. We have less than 17% fossil in the whole system now, and that is the plastics and waste, which we have to find ways of reducing the fossil-based plastics. Maybe by getting society to move over to more organic-based, or I mean bio-based plastics, or also avoiding some of the plastics we have today. The plant also produces 1/5 of all the electricity needed in the city. But we're also open for new market solutions, and one of them is that server halls or grocery stores, refrigerators, they can sell their excess heat to the district heating system and are paid at the same level as the cost of producing heat at that moment. They do it through a heat pump, which brings it up to the right temperature for the pipes. So that's a new model, and up to 1/5 of all the heat needed for the district heating system can actually be added by doing that. So we see that heating will not be a big major issue in the future. We have to find a way of bringing down the plastics out of the waste, but otherwise we're pretty well off with bringing down our emissions from heating. For electricity, for lighting, for running fans and computers and everything, they're the Swedish, where we actually calculate on the Nordic mix of electricity, it has very little fossil in it nowadays. So by 2030, we believe it'll be renewable as well. The big challenge is...
Sorry to
My
interrupt.
apology to interrupt you, but
okay,
the
to
time...
speed up. Yes, I have only a few slides left. We have the big challenge is transport. 30% of the fuel for vehicles today is renewable or electric in Stockholm. So we use biogas from the sewage works. We have a bit of ethanol, We also have hydrogenated vegetable oil, which can be used in diesel engines perfectly. And electric vehicles are increasing quickly, but still it's only 30%. We need to get this much higher. We do promote in the plan increase of urban public transport, but already today, public transport stands for 80% of the modal shift, and walking and cycling stands for almost the rest. So it's the transports you do on your spare time which are the big problems. There it's difficult to find ways of using public transport to meet the whole need for that. So that's why we move to more renewable fuels. We also are moving into renewable fuels and electric for construction machinery. And when we have shipping, they connect to the electric power supplies when they are standing at a quay. So no, they don't have to use their engines to produce electricity. We're building some 4,000 new charging places for electric vehicles in the city. And then for the positive parts, to bring down the emissions, we already have something called biochar, where we take like the waste from the shrubs and trees which are cut down in the city in the park services, make that into charcoal and put that as like a fertilizer for the trees. There we take, when the trees grow, they take up the coal. This is used to produce heat, but then instead of letting the carbon up into the atmosphere, this is put into the ground. So we have a biochar plant running since 2017. And then we're working on bioenergy carbon capture and storage, where we have a pilot plant running to bring the carbon out of the combustion in this big plant I showed a photo of, to then take it and put the carbon dioxide into the ground instead in a carbon capture and storage system, where this is being investigated now for a full-scale plant. So that was about it. And I'll stay around a while for the questions if there is any time for anything at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landau. Foi super interessante.
It was very interesting to hear you from the beginning when you defined the difference between what it is neutral and what is free of fossil and then see all the explanation of the challenges with heating and how to get rid of plastic. Thank you very much. It's very interesting. Now we go to Norway. We invite Mr. Stu Portvik.
Yeah, thank you.
A green Oslo, more open and creative with space for all. Oslo is the capital of Norway and has a population of 658,000 inhabitants. The city is surrounded by Marka Forest, a protected area nationally, and by Oslo. They are both connected through a series of fluvial views. The approach of Oslo to conserve its natural area and to restore the navigation is one of the main reasons why the city got the award in 2019. The city introduced a series of measures to achieve these goals. For example, promoted the transport with zero emission. Oslo became the world capital of electrical vehicle, with 30% of all vehicles sold in the city being electrical. The biogas produced by bioresidues and is used to fuel the buses and trucks. The innovation and promotion of new jobs in the circular economy are priority in Oslo. Now we'll listen to Mr. Stu Portvik.
Yes, thank you.
Telling these challenges.
Thank you. I will try to share the presentation here. Hope you can see it.
Yes.
Soon. Good. Yeah, my name is Sture Portvik. I'm responsible for electromobility in the city. And it's a little bit like you mentioned. So thank you, Daniela. Transportation is a focus point. We were the green capital in 2019, and you mentioned 30% of all new cars sold were electric, but that was in 2019. Now, last year, it was actually 80%. That means that 3 out of 4 cars that are sold are electric. Among the most popular models, only one is a combustion car. So that's fantastic, but we have to keep up the good work. And so electromobility is important because we have very high ambitious goals, like the other green capitals. So in 2030, we want to reduce CO2 emission with 95%. So that's a heavy goal. And how can we do that? Well, national plan is here on the slide. You can see that transport is key to actually become a zero-emission society. So all our cars in Norway will be zero-emission from 2025, and that's only 4 years from now. But we are on that track. More than 60% on a national base are electric, 80 in Oslo, so we're on the way. But also 100% of all the vans. And I have a good news for you, and that is that all the freight and craft and service vans in Oslo, 40% already sold this year is electric. Also the heavy trucks, the big trucks, the long haul trailers and heavy machinery is coming very soon. Last year, only 1% of the heavy trucks were zero emission. Now it's 12%. So things are moving much faster than anticipated, and that's good. And of course, all the buses in the city, 1,800, will be electric within 2028. All the ferries, all public transportation in general. That's important. And I'm not going into detail. We don't have time for that, but it was like a big frontal sweep. It's not like one incentive, free parking, for instance, or free purchase of a vehicle or subsidy schemes. It was the whole battery of package that really make the difference. So nowhere on the planet you will find a higher density of electric cars, and the reason is in these 2 slides. But I guess you will distribute them later, so I'm not going into details. There are the national plans and the climate strategy for the city. Not going into details, but this is important. If you want to succeed with electric mobility, you have to make EV cheap to buy. Also cheap to use, free parking, free electricity, free passing in the toll gates, but also convenient. So in Norway, you could use the bus lane, and that saves a lot of time. But we had to make some adjustment because it simply became too much electric cars. Not going into details now, but it's working. But of course, you need the right product. And what you can see now is that both the European OEMs like Volkswagen, Skoda, and so on, Renault, and all of them are more and more into EVs. So it's very easy to find a product. The same with the American OEMs and the Chinese. So to the right there, I had the pleasure to try in LAPD Tesla S police car. That was fun, but not going into details now. But EV sales are boosting. 80% of all cars mentioned are electric. And down to the left, you can see the most popular cars. Of course, the headline to the right says in Norwegian, opptatt, opptatt, opptatt. I guess you cannot translate it, but it means occupied, occupied, occupied. And it shows that it became extremely difficult to find a free charging. And of course, the politician doesn't like that. So then they call and ask, what can we do? And luckily, it's always a solution. And solution, you can see up to the left, public charging, curbside, and also an electric bus. We build a huge hub with quick chargers, high performance chargers, and AC chargers. Important, not going into details, but quick chargers important. We mapped everything to try to find out which boroughs, which part of the city needs more chargers. And also we had a huge grant scheme. So we actually supported private households on private ground. So we gave them a subsidy to get enough electricity into their common garages. You can see a typical Norwegian housing association board out looking at the charger for the first time. And we had to help them to make that happen. And results, well, DNV, the Norwegian company, have tried to estimate. They say that 60 million tons has been reduced only due to the fact of EVs. But now we have to focus on the commercial vehicles. And you can see some examples here. Down to the left is the Prime Minister opening Oslo City Hub, a huge hub together with private sector, DB and Schenker, the German transporter, the Norwegian Bring Postal Service, and also DHL, the American one. So we want, together with them, to line up, so you can see the picture to the right, with electric trucks. These are not the biggest trucks. They have also purchased some 20 Volvo trucks, big ones. But of course, in the future, all taxis has to be zero emission as well. And we made this plan up to the right, trying to map out how can we make that happen. And our vice mayor opening a quick charging station reserved for taxis down to the left and right. And of course, building and construction site. We were building new taxi stands only for zero emission taxis. That's our plan throughout the city center. But of course, we want also the road to clean mobility to be zero emission. So we want all the excavator, the building equipment to be zero emission. So that was fun, building the first zero emission site in Norway. Up to the right, you have the bus, one of the bus depots. You can charge up to 50 buses at the same time with high performance chargers, but you also have 68 slow chargers. And for buses, slow charging is 50 kilowatt, so it's pretty fast anyway. And of course, you need innovation. You need to save space. You need to do it as efficient as possible. So we are looking with GLR, Jaguar Land Rover, and also Momentum Dynamic, an American company. We try to put up taxi stands where you can use wireless fast charging. That's fun. And also you can use battery storage. That's good for the grid, and it's very efficient because you can fill it up from a slow net during nighttime, and you can feed the big trucks when they're coming during daytime. But of course, I hate to say this because my job is to promote the EVs, but you need a holistic view. You need, and public transportation is king. And like in Stockholm, most of the transport in and out of the city is actually done by public transportation. So the next step is, of course, not emission-free public transportation, but 100% zero emission-free public transportation from 2028. Also, we use a lot of effort and money as well on cycling lanes. We want to make it better for pedestrian and cyclists, and also shared mobility, more and more in focus. So we are reserving 600 of the best parking places in downtown Oslo for car sharing only. It's not that popular from day one, but we want to show the way, and we want people to have an alternative. So if they don't have a private car, they can use a shared one. And of course, electric taxis mentioned, park and ride solutions, so you can stop at the metro station or the train station and take the last mile into the city center with public transportation. And to make everything happen, you need IoT, you need ITS systems that is connecting everything. And a fun one is zero emission zones. The first one shall be ready within 12 months. The next step is in 2028. And we already have a huge car-free city center in the core, downtown Oslo, where private cars are not allowed, even EVs. So it's only freight vehicles, but we want them to be clean. And also, it's important to stress that we have a climate budget, so all agencies have to report not only on economy, but also on climate. And of course, public procurement is king. Because all goods that are delivered to the city in 2025 have to be delivered on zero emission vehicles. Not green vehicles, but 100% zero emission vehicles for vehicles less than 3.5 ton. For the ones heavier than 3.5 ton, the goal is to have all zero emission in 2030. And of course, we have congestion tax, we have residential parking, a lot of different things that make it very worthwhile to park your car and use public transportation or cycle. We have a city bike system, of course, like many other cities. And yeah, public transportation is definitely key. But I just want to say, because we are a little bit short of time, so in the future, everything has to be electric, even the planes. And I mean, that's really taking range anxiety up to new heights. So that's fun. And also down to the left, you have a large container ship. And I think that's an area where we can collaborate and cooperate with Brazil. It's on heavy maritime ships. The first electric container ship is built in Norway now, and you can see some examples to the left. This one will not only remove a lot of big trucks and trailers from our roads, contributing to less accidents and less pollution, but it will also be autonomous. In the future, you don't need the captain. Of legal reason, he has to be on the bridge for the first 3 years, but everything is remotely controlled. And that's a Norwegian product, and it's a lot of things happening in the maritime sector, and not going into that. Up to the right is our American friends, Momentum Dynamics. You can also charge, of course, buses with wireless charging, and that's fun. Down to the right, that's a fun one. It's an autonomous minibus up at Svalbard together with the polar bears. So it's working in all kinds of conditions, even in snow and ice, and with encounter of polar bears, and that's fun. So I think that was it for me. So thank you for your attention, everybody. Thanks.
Muito obrigada, Sr. Stur.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Stur. You guys are already in the future, just by looking at the slides, we can say. My apologies for my mistake. I said it was 30% of the electric cars. That was in 2019. Now it's 80%. It's very impressive. We are at the end.
It's moving very fast, so I can understand your confusion there.
Então, muito obrigada. Estamos chegando.
Thank you very much. We are reaching the end of our event. We don't have the time for the questions. They will be replied later. All of these incredible presentations will also be shown. Now let's take a picture. Please, all the panelists could open your cameras. So Domenica to be in the picture with us. Domenica will give the final words. She's Chief of Political and Economical affairs in European delegation in Brazil. Let's do the picture first, and then we'll hear Domenica.
Muito obrigada. Agora
Thank you very much. Now we have a small video.
Então, nós chegamos ao fim dessa...
So we reached the end of this amazing webinar, this trip we took through 11 green capitals in Europe. It was great. They brought us important information and reflection, a lot of inspiration for us in Brazil. But we will rethink our life in cities from now on. Now let's hear Domenica. She's the chief of Economical, Political, and Information Session. Thank you, dear Daniela. Can you hear me? I will say a few words, and I will do it in English as well, so I can be more effective since my Portuguese is not too good.
She asked me to convey again her greetings and her satisfaction for having participated in this seminar. I would like to thank you, Daniela, for moderating and preparing so thoroughly this webinar. And I would like also to thank all the panelists from the 11 Green Capitals for their amazing and inspiring presentations. I would also like to thank all the participants from the public, because it was clear, I looked at the chat, that there is a lot of interest. There were very many good questions. And to me, this shows that the potential for greening cities in Brazil is enormous. By listening to all the presentations of the speakers, I have noted down some conclusions that I would like to share with you from the point of view of the EU delegation. Well, first of all, it's clear that a sustainable and inclusive future of the planet cannot be built without the contribution of cities, where everybody is called to play an important role. And this is exactly what the Green Capital Award is encouraging you to do. The second conclusion I noted down is that greening cities is successful when it is done by people and for people. And this is exactly the strategy of the European Union for the future of Europe, but also in its cooperation with the strategic partners like Brazil and many others in the world. The third conclusion which I drew is that it is absolutely essential to create a network of green knowledge, where people can really share best practices, experiences, solutions. And this is exactly what we try to do today from the EU delegation with this webinar. And I was very glad to see that many exchanges have already started from the chat of the webinar, and they will certainly continue. The last and fourth conclusion I would like to make is about the role of young people in this greening city. I always insist on this because young people are the most important actors of change. They can inspire and lead urban transition in Europe, in Brazil, and in the whole world. So my message to the young people in the audience and the one who will follow the webinar after in YouTube is the following: be daring, be innovative, be creative, don't give up building a green, sustainable future together with all the other actors in your cities. The European Union will continue to encourage and support these efforts, will continue to try and help connecting people across continents, across oceans, across the world. And to this aim, I promise you that we will try to organize other webinars like this, because there is a lot more to learn and to share. And I hope that in the next editions of these webinars on green capitals of Europe, we can have a more active role from green cities in Brazil too. Stay tuned, follow us on our social networks. And this is my conclusion. Many thanks really to all for the enthusiasm, the energy, the knowledge, the professionalism. Many thanks to all. Enjoy your weekend wherever you are. Muito, muito obrigada a todos. Desejo a todos.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope everyone have a lovely weekend wherever you are in the world. Enjoy this positive energy that we created today with this webinar. Thank you, Domenica, for your words. We have reached the end of our event. All the presentations from Green Cities will be available permanently on this YouTube channel, also on Dialogues Europe Brazil. I remind everyone that have questions, send it to this email. It's written there on the screen. And share this event. It is very inspiring. There are many cities, many examples. And follow European Union in Brazil, so many people can have access to all of these panels and experiences that we have seen. I thank the opportunity to mediate this event. Thank you from me and Valor Econômico, and we wish everyone a great afternoon, great weekend, and until next time.
Daniela, querida, estamos todavía no hay.